The following podcast contains naughty language and ridiculous situations. Listener discretion is advised.
Tonight, we are on the precipice of glory. We are not really. But as of this recording, we are 2 days away from a double shot of debauchery. First, if you are in the Worcester, New England, Massachusetts area, come down April 12th at the Parkview Room in beautiful Worcester, Massachusetts for the live event featuring Trick or Treat Radio on stage in front of you. We're also going to be showing the award-winning Outside the Cinema produced Survival of the Film Freaks movie. I've not seen it yet, but I hear it's very, very good. And then on Saturday, April 13th, the Deadites return to the soon-to-be legendary Bull Mansion in also beautiful Worcester. It's very close by. 25 years and 16 months. It's going to be great. But tonight, episode 350, we brought some friends. We brought some new friends, some old arguments, some new arguments, and probably a dick joke or an F word or two. So welcome to Trick or Treat Radio.
Zombies. You're listening to Trick or Treat Radio, starring the Deadites.
Welcome to episode 350 of Trick or Treat Radio. Trick or Treat Radio is a phantasmagorical spin kick straight through the heart of pop culture, navigated by the Deadites. The Deadites are the world's greatest electroshock band. We destroy monsters, we drink booze, we win championship belts, and we also celebrate milestones from time to time. Although, you know what? I don't know. As they get more and more frequent, they kind of become less and less cool, right?
Well, I guess it depends on the number. You know, I mean,
what's 350?
Yeah, but I mean, it's
350.
50 is important, 100 is important, 150 is important, 250 is important.
Are we gonna celebrate 450 and be all excited, or I don't know?
We probably I think
we'll celebrate 420.
Yeah. All right, now you're talking. All right, not that any of us really smoke, but Rave Joe's smoking right now. Oh my God!
Spark up on 420.
All right, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do some real quick round of intros here because we have some guests joining us that I'm going to introduce in just a second, but we're going to do it real quick. I am Johnny Wolfenstein, the pencil pusher and producer of media for Trick or Treat Radio and the Deadites. Joining us very shortly will be Dynamo Mars. He is the mortal gunslinger, singer, and lyricist for the Deadites. He'll be here just in a little bit. We also have the vulgar guru of horror, star of Blood Pigs, Fetus, and the upcoming Morbid Tales and Septic, one-time contributor for Horror Hound magazine, Monster Zero.
Hey, hi, how you doing?
The triumph riding, stage erecting, whiskey drinking, chief of security, the warrior of nor'easters, America's sweetheart, urban Gandalf, and Rick Rubin's stunt double. He drinks and breaks things. Ares, god of war.
Yeah, that shit's just getting way too long. Hello.
We also have the chain smoking, hand kissing, baby shaking, lorazepam loving, former comic book reading nerd, the official smoke chamber for Castle Wolfenstein, if I could say that right, the Pipper Promotions, the Italian rapscallion, professional bullshitter, the cool principal, the proprietor and secretary of the sexy speakeasy, Mr. Runtime, the Duke of Degeneracy, and the Parisian Bruja himself, Michael Ravenshadow. We no longer have time for our guests anymore because of your intro, Ravenshadow.
Sorry, guys.
So
stay golden, Cromcast.
So tonight, what's going on? I'll just give the quick rundown because we're going to jump right into things. So tonight, episode 350, what we decided to do was just hang out with some of our buds, some of our podcasting friends, and talk about some movies. And that's what we're going to do. This episode is all about that. We're going to kind of eschew some of the normal, format. Not a long intro. Probably won't do a long outro either. Just hanging with our buds, really. So with that said, joining us for the first film, we're going to be talking about The Headhunter. And then later on, we're going to be talking about Triple Threat with our boys, The Cult of Muscle. But right now, we have probably the most suitable podcast to discuss this movie. And they are kind of champions of fantasy, D&D, Robert E. Howard, and they are the preeminent, I'm calling this right now, the preeminent Robert E. Howard podcast, and that would be our boys over on the Cromcast of Josh, Luke, and John.
Hey guys.
Howdy.
I
guys.
I should have called it individually because I knew you guys were all going to talk at the same time. So that's the way it goes, though. So thank you guys. It was awesome to have you on the show, and looking forward to talking about this fucking movie.
Dude, thank you for having us again. Raven Shadow's got, I think, 5 additional titles since last time we were on.
Lots happened.
At
man.
least.
There's been some changes.
Yeah.
At least, yeah. So before we get into the film, I just want people to know about the Cromcast because obviously we've had you guys on before. We've talked about you guys on the show. We play your promo, and most some of the people here don't listen to podcasts, but most of us listen to your podcast. So if there's anyone out there listening that is not familiar, would you guys mind telling folks about the Cromcast?
Yeah, Josh, what are we all about?
I was about to ask you the same question. So we're a pulp and weird fiction podcast. We talk about sort of the roots of a lot of the sword and sorcery and fantasy stuff that is popular nowadays. So without Robert E. Howard and the Conan stories, you wouldn't have Game of Thrones, and you wouldn't have your Skyrims. And so Howard was, an important touchstone in terms of pop culture. And we talk about the stories that he wrote, the stories that influenced him, and the stories that were influenced by him.
Yeah. So, over the years, we've covered a variety of like Robert E. Howard-centric stories, but we've also got into a variety of other weird fiction authors. This last season, we took what we called our Journey to the East. So we covered some of the historical, sword and sandal type stories that took place in the Near East and the Far East. And coming up for this next season, we'll be talking about what we're calling our Road to Revisions. But basically, we'll be taking on a lot of the classic Howard stories that have either been interpreted by other authors after his death, or perhaps they were sort of reappropriated by Howard himself. Like he wrote them one way and then he wrote them another way, that kind of thing. So we're going to make a return back to Conan and Kull and Solomon Kane and that sort of stuff with our next season.
That's really exciting. And, because obviously I know you guys don't just, talk about Robert E. Howard all the time. It's sort of works that he has influenced and, sort of pop culture that has popped up around some of his work. So it is, I'm sure it's exciting to kind of get back to the root of it all.
Yeah. It is fun. And I mean, the thing that, I don't know, we say whenever we're talking to other people, like really our show is kind of an excuse just for us to get together and hang out and kind of have a book club.
Yeah.
Have a chance to bullshit. You guys know what that's about.
Oh, yes. We know all too well. Yeah, absolutely. So it's awesome, and it's great having you guys on. And also you guys you in a way have 2 podcasts, because didn't you break off the Bourbon and Barbarians into sort of its own thing?
Yeah. So we've also been playing Dungeons and Dragons here for a couple years, I think, at this point. But we're playing like an OSR, like old school Revolution style, like basic Dungeons and Dragons sort of crawl through some of the classic modules, and that's been going on for a couple years. And we, again, just an excuse for us to get together. Like we're already on Skype because John's coming in from one portion of the U.S. and then we've got our friend Mike coming in from another spot. So why not hit record? So we're recording that stuff and we're putting it out, and that's kind of our I don't want to say filler, but outside of the main Cromcast feed, that's coming out on basically a monthly basis as well.
It's like the Better Call Saul of the Cromcast. Really.
Yeah, the spinoff. So yeah, that's all good stuff, and take it from. I know Mars and I listen to it, and it's a blast. So if you guys are into D&D playthroughs, or even or if you just want to listen to the Cromcast, definitely check them out. Subscribe. You guys are available on all the podcatchers, right?
Yep.
So there you have it. So we appreciate you guys coming on, and we're gonna jump right into things here. So we're gonna start talking about our first flick, and the name of the flick is The Headhunter. And it's interesting how this came about, because Josh, you had actually posted the trailer for this in our Facebook group, and we're like, oh, like fantasy horror, like this looks amazing. And so I checked it out and I was like, yes, like we need to talk about this film with you guys if we ever do this. And it just kind of worked out well doing it on 350. You guys were all available. So that's why we decided to do the Headhunter with you guys. And I have a feeling that your expertise will definitely come in handy for some of the discussion here. So this film is it's a breezy watch. It's 72 minutes, and it is a fantasy horror from 2018. It just recently got a VOD release, and it is directed by Jordan Downey and written by Kevin Stewart and Jordan Downey. And it's a very small cast of two, really. I guess there's some other people in it that that just play bit roles here and there.
Well, the horse got a higher billing than one of the actors. So.
Yeah, exactly. And the daughter is played by Cora Kaufman, and the father is played by Christopher. He's got a Norwegian name, so I'm probably going to say it incorrectly, but it's Rieg or Reig, maybe. So just the two. And the synopsis for the film. A medieval warrior's gruesome collection of heads is missing only one, the monster that killed his daughter years ago. So very, very simple synopsis, very simple plot, and it sort of jumps right into things. So before we get started, we also have Mars here in studio now.
What's up, Sumerians?
Hey, Mars.
How's
Hey,
it
man.
going? What are you guys
Doing good,
wearing?
man.
What are you guys wearing right now?
What are you wearing?
Plaid.
Nada.
I got my +1 Viking helmet of podcasting.
Nice. I have my +1 Captain Morgan Spice rum of podcasting.
Nice.
Well, talk to me in a half hour. We'll see how nice I am.
No chaser.
I'm a grown-ass man. Thank you
That's
very
nice.
much. I don't
Wait,
drink
wait, wait.
beer out of I don't drink beer out of green
Didn't you
bottles.
say 2 weeks ago that you don't drink anymore?
Yeah. Well, guess what?
He got thirsty.
Two weeks later, I'm still on Trick or Treat Radio. So
So Mars is now here. We did intros. We talked about everything, and we're going to jump right into this movie. So I do have to say, before we jump into the film, because I may sort of forget to mention this, but did anyone else look up Jordan Downey's filmography?
Yes.
Anyone in studio here?
No.
Yeah, he was an Iron Man.
No. He actually directed a movie that we
Oh, God damn
discussed
it.
on the show a long time ago.
Oh, God damn
And it was maybe one of the worst movies we've ever seen.
Oh.
And that would be Thanksgiving. Can you believe
we did that show.
Can you believe this dude directed Thanksgiving?
Wait, did we do that?
Yeah, I don't remember doing it.
I'll look it up. I'm almost positive we did. I'm pretty sure MZ picked it for something.
I feel like I put the fucking kibosh on it. Like
It would have been
I watched
early.
it. So
So
him.
wait,
He got
is
to work
this
with
the,
Wanda Love.
is this
Good for
the flick that had that was a trailer within like a grindhouse?
no, that was
Thanksgiving.
just Thanksgiving. Yeah.
Oh,
And
okay, okay.
Thanksgiving 3.
Yeah, he
Yeah, I was
did.
gonna say there's a third one.
The first two weren't enough, so
Yeah. Well, you guess you got to make a trilogy.
I just wanted to
Well,
get
he
that.
apparently stepped away from the second one. Like
Yeah.
it was too unartistic for him.
Oh man.
Yeah, I just wanted to get that.
I
out
know
of
I
the way.
watched like 10 minutes of it. I remember the giant turkey monster rape at the beginning, but
Yeah.
that movie made
ridiculous.
Black Devil Doll like look like a politically correct film.
Which Black Devil doll?
The one
The
we,
original?
No,
Yeah.
the one we saw. Not
We
the,
did.
okay.
We by the way, dudes.
Stop
we did,
trying to show you fucking Z movie.
No,
crap.
I'm just asking.
Oh, what Black Devil Doll? The VHS one that cost $2,000 that only people who have never kissed a girl have seen, or the one we all fucking went and saw together?
I'm just asking.
Have a drink and stop your bitching.
Yeah.
350 episodes, everybody.
Yep.
Good start.
Which
So-
one?
We did do it, and it was on episode 18,
Wow.
What else do we do?
Jeez.
Virgins from Hell, the first GGTMC flick pick of the month,
That's probably why I forget that movie.
because
Was
that
so
movie is
fucking
awesome.
Great.
Yeah. So we did it way back on episode 18. So yes, we did talk about Thanksgiving. So that's all I wanted to mention. I was just shocked that I noticed that after watching this movie. So I guess we'll jump in, and I'm actually kind of amazed that we haven't discussed a film like this before. which is not to say that a film like this hasn't been made, but that it's just such a cool, simple concept and an interesting setting. And we've seen some others set in, what was the one, Black Death? Like that wasn't medieval times per se, but like seeing sort of monsters in a sort of a more medieval setting.
This is Dungeons and Dragons time.
This is absolutely Dungeons and Dragons.
This isn't like a, there probably weren't ever trolls, well, except on the internet.
So, I just immediately loved the simple concept, and just, it's the other thing I wanted to mention is I think the budget for this was $30,000. I think I saw.
That's what I saw. Yeah.
Yeah, which is amazing, because this film I think looks great. It's got some great locations. Obviously, they, as we'll talk about, it did skimp on some things, but I think that's a budgetary constraint, which I think they really worked well within. So I'm going to stop talking. I want to kick it over to the Cromcast guys. So let's kick it off with Luke. What were sort of your initial impressions, or what did you think about the film? And you guys are obviously more than welcome to to try to tie it back to anything relating to the Cromcast or Robert E. Howard or Dungeons and Dragons.
So you guys have covered Mandy, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, to me, this movie very much is a sister to a lot of the feel of that movie, and while it's different in a lot of ways, I think it's similar in a lot of ways, and I think it's really kind of a threadbare story. I'll be honest, like I'm a little bit critical of this movie. I want to like it, and there are things that I do like about it, but man, the plot is lacking to me, and I hate the sort of swerve that happens about, I don't know, 30 or 40 minutes through, like halfway through. So I think there's a lot of good ideas in this story, but damn it, I wish that like half of the ideas would have been tossed out to the side, and then the other ideas that stayed on the table would have formed like the actual story that we would have been fed.
All right, that's a fair point. How about you, Josh?
I did enjoy this movie quite a bit. It's not what I was expecting. When Johnny, when you mentioned Black Death earlier, that's the kind of movie that I was kind of expecting with this, and we didn't quite get that. The grim feel is there, but along with these beautiful sort of sparse, huge landscape shots that are immensely lonely, we have our lead character played by Christopher Reig. Is that how you pronounced his name?
That's what I think. Yeah.
Okay. And he's dealing with some pretty traumatic grief and guilt and thoughts about vengeance. And so for the first half of the film, when it's him and periodically he's talking to either his daughter at her graveside, or I think he runs across a skeleton of some other warrior, and he's saying, what got you? Was it a giant? It's speculating, all of these little bits of lore that they do kind of give us regarding this film, I really liked. And maybe it's just me, but I liked the way that the filmmakers kind of left a lot of this open to your interpretation.
Yeah.
At least in terms of who Father is and what this world is about, and what he's going through, and it's a very kind of quiet movie that lets you sort of put those pieces together for yourself. But Luke mentioned the swerve that happens, and it is kind of an abrupt shift in the tone of the film. Without going into it too deeply, it does kind of shift gears pretty quickly from first, like straight to fifth, grinding the clutch the whole way. But having said all that, I really liked it. I had a lot of fun watching it, and for 70 minutes, it certainly was breezy enough, as you said, but carried a lot of weight, at least with me.
Yeah, absolutely. I think those are good points, and we'll dive a little bit deeper. And since this film is still just recently came out, we won't get too far into spoilers, but I think there's some stuff that we can broach, that without giving too much away. So let's finish the trio and get John's thoughts on this.
I definitely thought we were in for more of like a Vin Diesel Witch Hunter, the Last Witch Hunter kind of thing, or a Hansel and Gretel kind of movie when it was first proposed to us, but more along the lines of like a Visit Norway commercial is the first half of this movie. I thought like I really wanted to move to that guy's woods and kind of hang out with him and eat snacks and use magic potions with him. But the second half is much more of a like Evil Dead 1 or 2 kind of situation, I thought.
Yeah.
Like greasy things being rubbed on people and not in erotic ways.
Yeah.
Maybe you.
To some, maybe. All right, so and since obviously since there's so many of us here, there's 8. I want to get some initial impressions, and then we'll discuss some of the actual themes of the film. So let's I don't know, Raven Shadow, if you want to give your thoughts.
It was good length.
That's what she said.
Yes. It's a fine length for a feature.
Yeah.
A lot of features.
And usually that means that it's not.
But nevertheless.
Thanks, Brenda. Feel like you just fucking killed Brody's smile here.
Sorry, Brody.
Sorry.
This is for Brody. But no, I liked it. I wasn't sure kind of where it was going, and little by little, it was a nice little character piece.
Yeah.
With that main character.
Yeah, the character piece about the main character. That's good. Yeah.
That's a good thing to have.
350 episodes.
This is a film about a movie.
You know what's this is a good time to mention this, and I know I bring it up every once in a while, but usually people get better at things when they do that. You're just coasting. Yeah. You're smart. Be smart. Do it. This guy's brain's broken. He can't do nothing, but you're just pretending to be a fucking moron.
Well, no, I think it's elementary. The fact that it's fair to say the plumage was the right color and temperature. No. But no. I dug it. Once again, is it weird that this could be a fucking stage play in the woods?
You know what's funny? I don't know why, but I thought that same fucking thing. At least, yeah. Like I don't.
I think. I mean, ideally it works because but I think the locations really make a difference in this. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, you have to have a lot of set.
No, but the way they shot them, I feel like they were like so. Like you knew there was a back porch, right, and that he fished off it and stuff. But like you didn't know, like it's not like you ever saw a lot from like the other side of the lake or anything. You know?
Yeah.
You know, like,
Well,
it was
I mean,
all very tight.
The first half of this movie was definitely played out like a stage play, where it's he does everything he's doing in the cabin,
Right.
then something happens and he leaves the stage, and you don't know what happened. You hear
Right,
sound effects,
the horn.
Arrakis.
Yeah. Well, but I mean, when he leaves, it's just you could curtain and raise the curtain. He comes back on now with the resolution of what happened.
Right.
You don't see it. That's very stage play-ish.
And as they kind of kept doing that same thing, I'm like, that's why I kind of got the film, the cut of its jib. You know what I mean? Where this is kind of what's happening, and I was digging it.
You know what? You're right. And I've
That's the first time that's ever been said.
Yep.
Timestamp.
So can I ask a question, Johnny?
Yeah, of course.
I mean, and I don't necessarily want to be like the total devil's advocate here.
Yes, you do.
Be like super critical with this movie, but like, what's the follow through with the horn and the headhunter being called out and then returning? Like I know we're not spoiling anything here, but we don't. Yeah. There's broad strokes, which I'm a fan of, but we don't get enough to appreciate like what his lot in life is. I mean, we know what his lot in life is to him, but like within the grander world, what does he do?
Well, I mean, my estimation is, and I think this is definitely, you need to connect the dots a little bit. It's laid out enough where you can sort of ascertain what's going on without a lot of exposition, which there isn't much of. But I think the thing is just from setting and seeing what happens on screen, my estimation is that this dude was working for the castle, whether it was a king or whatever. Like, he was working for the castle. They would call him. He would go do the dirty work. And also, he seemed like a relatively primitive guy, and so he had that, and I obviously thought of all you guys when I saw that grimoire.
You're saying they're primitive?
He's not wrong.
Or primitive screwheads, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so my estimation is that he didn't write that grimoire, and it was it looked like either like a combination of a bestiary or maybe like a spell book or something. And so my guess is that it was gifted to him from whoever was in that castle, and it's like, I'll keep you safe, and this is sort of my reward in a way, and also to help, for him to continue to defend the castle grounds against the monsters. So that was just my interpretation. It doesn't mean it's the right one, but that's sort of how I saw it.
I wanted one more reference or one more shot or one more like response of the headhunter to the castle, like whatever those messages were. Like we get teases, but there's not enough meat on like the arrow like that's delivered to us that we can interpret.
Like you wanted more full frontal.
I don't even want that. I just want the tease. I want to know, be able to guess what's there.
No, see, I thought that was perfect with what they showed you.
Perfect amount of full frontal for Harris.
It was just it hinted at what it was. Like, it didn't tell you, but you got to interpret what that message was, and that is what he I think that's what he's bringing home and putting in that book every time.
Yeah, I agree.
Actually, that's a good thought, Aries.
It was his record. Essentially, it was his resume.
Yeah.
Johnny?
Yes.
Guys,
you want to speak on this?
Guys in the Cromcast?
Yes.
Established colleagues of Trick or Treat Radio?
Yes. Oh, just spit it out.
Let me speak on this in public, please.
This is public, so you go ahead.
This guy was the worst fucking monster hunter since Monster Hunting came to Monster Hunting Town. Like every fucking time, because every time he'd show up and fight a monster, and every time he'd come back fucking almost gutted.
Yeah.
Like every time.
Well,
They're
there's a
fucking
difference
monsters,
between gutted and almost gutted.
Yeah, almost is the key word.
Yeah. The guy comes back alive. He's beaten, but he's alive.
He won. That's
Yeah.
all that matters.
No, you never saw fucking Van Helsing get almost gutted. Nope. Not even one time.
Came back, had a snack.
Right.
Came back at a snack.
None of the Van Helsings.
Well, no one ever claimed that he was a good monster hunter.
Took a bath we wanted to.
Obviously, his daughter died, and I'm sure he was kind of listless and didn't really have a purpose. And
This guy.
Plus, we never see these monsters. We only see their heads.
This guy was a fucking asshole.
he was an asshole.
Yeah, this guy was
bad dad.
terrible at his job. He was a terrible dad.
He was good at his job.
No.
Look at how many he killed.
He was good at fucking magic potion fucking gut spells, and that's all he was good at.
Should this be the point where I relate that I found this character very relatable to me?
You know what? I was waiting for you to say
I've
that.
never.
I was kind of
Was it
hesitant
the
because I was
beard?
like, I'm opening myself up to so much ridicule. But yes, this
waiting
character
for
is
it.
very relatable to me.
You never got. I've never seen you even anybody lay a hand on you. You fought a whole bar once. Like, other than that mystery Elm Park mugging that I think you made up just so people would be a little less afraid
Why
of you.
would I make up a mugging?
Because you're trying to be more relatable.
Yeah, but I think it is more relatable, because if he's just like such a badass and doesn't even get injured, that's not realistic. To me, this is more realistic. Like, he's fighting monsters.
He's Johan Everyman.
And he's getting his ass kicked.
Everyone gets hit in a
He
fight.
just gets through and he does the job, and he gets injured.
No,
What's wrong with that?
bad.
Have you
Why
ever
is
been
that
in a
bad?
fight?
It comes with the territory.
You ever been hit then?
I'm fucking Superfly TNT, so not many times, and there was another time. Most of the times I probably would have got hit. You came and fucking interfered and said, "Don't kick that guy while he's on the ground," and all these other really old person things. But like, I just think that he was a bad monster hunter.
You know what? Go pick a fight with someone bigger than you.
That's
and see
like
how
saying
you-
Rocky
Everyone is
That's
everyone
like saying
is bigger
Rocky
than
Balboa is a bad boxer.
A karate man bleeds on the inside.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I hate
You know
to
what?
say
You know
I
what?
agree with Raven Shadow, but
You know what this movie felt like to me?
What?
Like a larger budget Brian Paulin film. This
see that.
this
I
feels
thought that too.
so much like a Brian Pollan film, in terms of
Brian would have showed more gore.
Yeah, like Brian
Oh,
is fucking
sure,
the king
sure.
of the show, like not like
Oh, sure. But
Not
I
a
mean,
bunch of
in
fucking
terms of
Halloween
in
outlet
terms of the
heads.
storyline, I mean, it's a story that seems like it would come out of Brian's head. It was just in this case put in the medieval times. The structure of the story, the sound effects that were used, the lack of dialogue, and the big, the big, not so much gory scene, but a big violent,
Yeah, like a
scene
finish.
going on.
Yeah.
The big finish at the end, that totally reads into Pollan's hands. And when I was watching, I'm like, this looks like a movie that he would make,
except
And-
for all the awesome special effects and gore.
Well, true, but I mean, like we were talking about earlier, budgetary constraints. I would have liked to have seen some of the monsters myself rather than seeing a bunch of latex masks, hanging on a wall.
To
But-
me, this, I mean,
But I think what they pulled off here was pretty decent, considering it's basically one guy carrying the whole film.
sorry, Lindsay, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, just one guy carrying the whole film.
Yeah.
and with a budget of $30,000, I mean, I think what they pulled off here was pretty amazing. Plus the desaturation of the colors gave it that medieval look, which I've always enjoyed.
Yeah,
Medieval times.
Yeah, the one thing about that is it was shot in mostly natural light, which I thought was an interesting decision, and I thought it looked awesome. And you could see a lot of texture. That's the thing that you don't get in a lot of movies because they're lit in a certain way to remove shadow. But this, like, when you looked at that book, that grimoire that he had, or like even the rocks, that make up his little hut and the trees, like everything was so textured, and it just had this really kind of realistic, gritty look to it, which I loved. And it's not something you see in a lot of films because they typically look very fantastical, And speaking of fantasy stuff, my connection to fantasy is through reading. That's how I got into fantasy, and I'm sure that's how most people did. Reading, I don't know, Dragonlance books and like other stuff. Like
Fantasy.
that was my connection. So I always imagined what was happening in these battles.
Yeah.
So for me, this wasn't a stretch to not see what was happening. I kind of concocted this little narrative in my head of like, looking at, it's basically you get the setup and then you don't see the battle, and then afterwards you see what he looks like and what the monster looks like. And to me, I thought that was really, really cool. And obviously it's budgetary constraints, number one. That's the reason, the main driving reason why it was done like that. But I also feel it really fit the fantasy genre well because of that. Maybe that's just my connection to fantasy, but I know obviously the guys on the Chromecast, you guys enjoy reading quite a bit, and you read a lot of fantasy stuff. Obviously, I know Luke, this little left a little bit to be desired for you, but for the other guys, did you like that decision to sort of leave it to the viewer's imagination?
You want to go, John?
Yeah, I kind of liked that we didn't know exactly what was going on in the world. I kind of like filling in those blanks and coming up with headcanon when you get the opportunity to.
Yeah.
But I understand Luke's point as well that there's just a little too much sparseness. Like maybe some of that 30,000 could have spent on less on beard care for the main actor and more on something else to prop up the rest of the film.
How about you, Josh?
I am going to take the opposite point and just say that I thought that the sparseness of the film was one of the things that I enjoyed, particularly the first 40 minutes or so. I like being able to sort of put the details into the narrative myself based on the parts that were given, and as far as this relating to other works of fantasy, it's a guy with his sword or his axe and his armor going into the wilderness to face off against some monster or another, and barely making it out alive to get back to his house where his magic potion is, and healing up. And that's the extent of the sorcery in this film. And so it's a very low fantasy, sort of heroic fantasy approach, and I dig that.
Yeah, and I can't be the only one that thought of the Death Dealer.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Death Dealer action figures just came out actually. Which
Really?
I think is- yeah, like in a weird scale, in a like a GI Joe size scale, like a 3
Interesting.
1/3. Yeah, they
Really?
kind of look chintzy, all things considered, but
Chintzy.
yeah.
Can
they
you
don't-
say that nowadays?
chintzy? Why? What is
I
that?
don't know. It's
Like, wow.
I just haven't heard it in a while.
That seems like an H.P. Lovecraft word.
Yeah. I'm like Lovecraft in Brooklyn, so. That way we've. I don't
It's
know.
a word. I never
Yeah.
thought of it as being outdated.
Well, you guys also thought of the other word for sprinkles was fine. So
Oh, Jesus
Jesus
Christ.
Christ.
That's why
Oh,
fucking Friendly's is
God.
out of business. Way to go, asshole.
Totally
They
Wolf's
closed
fault.
fucking 6 stores.
Yeah.
Thanks. No more smiles for the kids.
Right, those kids are sad. Listen, and I think my brothers from Hyborian Mothers over at the Cromcast will agree with me here. And you know what I kept expecting to see at the end? In this kind of, I feel this way a lot. I kept expecting to see adapted from Brian Keene, because I felt like there was something really Brian Keene-y about this story. I felt like this was an actual like short story or book or novella or something that just didn't like that they adapted spot on, right? And they found a way to make up for the fact that like the combat wasn't necessarily represented in the story, or it was like too much to film or whatever, for whatever reason. But for other than that, it was like, very accurate, but it just doesn't work. Like that was kind of my take. I just felt like there was, a lot of stuff I liked, like Johnny mentioned the lighting. I felt like the character was not extremely relatable.
well, I mean, this is like
I don't know.
He's a blank slate, right?
Yeah. Anybody can relate with loss, though. I feel, so I feel like that more than just. I don't know. I just felt like there was nothing there. Like there are ways to do that, and it's been done a million times of varying degrees, but like there was nothing there. I felt like it was just nothing, just not.
So to kind of build off of what you're saying there, Mikey, I mean, like you can make comparisons of this movie to perhaps like Reservoir Dogs or some sort of noir movie where, like you guys point out, like the movie starts, you cut away, and then you come back, and it's the aftermath of the action, right?
Right.
But the thing that makes like Reservoir Dogs a great story is that it's the interactions of a bunch of dudes on a job together, right? And so you get the character development. And in this story, I guess my main criticism and the thing that I want to see more is there's not enough of any one thing that sort of motivates you to care about this dude.
Right.
Like, does he love his daughter? Yeah, we know that. And I love the bits where he's talking to the tree and he's talking to his daughter. But to what extent does that sort of like detail like the larger world? That's what's really absent, I think. And so the story has good ideas. It just has, I think, not necessarily like way too many, but it just needs to pare down a handful of them. And I guess that's
something.
The story isn't the larger world. The story is just him.
his world. But
that's his whole world to him is killing what killed his daughter. That's
right.
His world.
And I know we're not necessarily like spoiling anything here, but that like the way that story, we don't spend enough time on that. Like to me, there needs to be more story of that relationship for it to have like gravity too. But it like that is really powerful, I think.
Yeah.
The way that
It wasn't made 100% clear until that monster came around again, where he broke his pattern.
Yeah, I would have liked it if he talked to a tree that was like his wife, and then a tree that was his wife's sister, and he had a threesome.
I like that one.
Very good.
Because you like bad jokes.
Why are you encouraging him?
And threesomes.
Yeah.
Hey, I give credit where credit's due.
There's no
and
credit
trees.
due there.
We're big Arbor
Yeah.
proponents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, drink some more booze. You're funnier that way.
And you look better too. So,
Got a green thumb.
but that's just jaundice.
No, shit.
No, it's yellow.
Poetic jaundice.
Jesus.
This is exciting. Episode 350.
I guess the last thing that I wanted to say about the movie that kind of relates to this is the story beat with the arrowhead.
Yeah.
I think that is one really cool element in the story that builds sort of this narrative loop that he's able to close. And by firing off this arrowhead, he's saying, I didn't believe, but now I do. Like, I don't know, there's something symbolic about that, the firing of the arrow that, to me, let me know that he has undergone some sort of development. He has gotten over, by doing the things that he's done in this film, he's gotten over some of the pain that he's felt relating to the death of his daughter, and the final act of sort of firing off the arrow is indicative of that. And I thought that was a cool, beautiful little touch that, it's, if you're not paying close attention, you might miss the details surrounding the arrowhead and what it actually means.
Yeah, and I did enjoy that too. And, it is very subtle, and a lot of people may not have even really put much stock in it. But, yeah, it was sort of this nice little closure to a story point in it. So, I think a lot of what happened in this was pretty interesting. They touched on, obviously, with magic and monsters. I think they mentioned goblins, trolls, Jotun, giants, and there's a lot of other different types of monsters. And I just like that there was reference to them. And would it have been nice to see them? Sure, absolutely. But I given everything we've talked about with the budget constraints and also just the choice to not show it, I think is an interesting choice, and definitely for me fits into that whole fantasy genre. So while it might have been nice to see a little bit more, especially of sort of the final showdown, I think there was enough there that made it fairly interesting, and I liked it all the way through. For me, especially the ending, it was maybe a little surprising, but I thought also very fitting. So I thought this was pretty cool, and there's I think the technical aspects of it are really good. I love the production design with the armor, the clothing, the weaponry.
I thought all that stuff was great.
Yeah, and even the
attention
to detail for the book and the cabin, everything was just looked really good. The locations
and the guy definitely looked the part.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. And so they filmed this in. I bet a lot of the budget went to the locations because they filmed it in Norway, Portugal, and Mammoth Lakes, California. I'm not familiar with that area, but and it definitely shows it. It has a great look to it, and just some of the shots of the wilderness are just really, really awesome, and it just make this feel like a much more epic film, even though you're not getting a lot in terms of budget on screen. It gives us this huge feel to it that you otherwise wouldn't have had.
Well, I think that also the location switching is really interesting because I didn't know that, but it makes sense because like where looks like Portugal, California, in Norway, nowhere. So they created like a world that has like this really woven together texture that if you play, if you play like Dungeons and Dragons, and are milling around Greyhawk, you're, in the woods and it's like the Ewok village, and the next thing you know, you're in the fucking mountains, and then you like in the course of like an adventure, you like literally like mine so much fucking terrain that doesn't actually happen in anywhere like that. So I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, absolutely, and that I'm calling it a grimoire, but who knows what that book was? Aries might be right that it was the arrows, with the notes attached to them that he made into a book. Clearly, he was a pretty enterprising dude. He was able to make that poultice that he used on to heal himself, which
I thought came out of the grimoire. I thought that was.
That's what I thought too. Yeah, that's why I thought it was a grimoire. So, but maybe now that Ares says that, they probably shot the arrow to him, gave him the recipe for it or whatever.
Could be.
Yeah,
it's possible they could.
But but I love that this world, they show you enough of it, but there's a lot of things that are sort of left open that really make you
a lot of things.
Yeah. But for me, that makes the world feel bigger because I'm like, well, what happened here? What goes on here? And for me, that really just opens it up. And if everything is told to me, I feel like the story is a lot smaller. But this felt more epic and it feels like a really big world. And it feels like this one little snapshot of a story in a much greater world that I would actually love to see a bigger budget film shot in this world.
Yeah, I mean, I understand what you're saying, and while I don't feel that about this, I agree with you fundamentally. You know what I mean? Like I feel like, look at the prequels, right? Like we had our whole life to think of some of those like scenarios, and then when we saw them, they weren't nearly as fucking cool as what I mean as they were. But like, I gotta bounce back, and say what I believe Luke was saying, and I just felt like, give me something. You know what I mean? Just give me something, like build to something. This is like this to me in a lot of cases felt like, I can relate this to wrestling very recently, like when they build something like they did for this Rey Mysterio match, and for reasons that they couldn't, in that case it was an injury probably, but in this it was budgetary reasons. You get to WrestleMania, you have these big dramatic entrances, everything looks fucking awesome. And it was a 1.5
match.
Yeah, 2-minute match. You know what I mean? Like, and it was just like, oh, well, now it's like, I feel like they set up this like, it's like no offense, Monster Zero, but it's like going to like a really nice hotel with your special lady friend and going to sleep. like I just felt like that they set up this awesome thing, and in my head I'm like, oh, you could do the sex on that table over there.
Sex.
There's a nice bathtub and whatever else, and it's just like you turn over and like it's just the cartoon Z's are coming out. So like I just felt like they set up some shit here that not that they have to pay it off, but they just didn't like I didn't feel satisfied, I guess, at the end of the day,
But then again, like, so we've seen some films either on the show or in regular life, like something like the Blair Witch Project. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's
similar thing there, yeah.
I think the payoff here is a little more than that. Not that it's not apples to apples comparison.
Yeah. No, I mean, you're not wrong, but I think it's an execution thing. Like I
would say, like in that case, though, I would push back. Like in the case of a movie like the Blair Witch Project, that's that's sort of a three sort of person interaction. Like that is a stage play with 3 people, and so you get push pull from everybody. And so the thing that's lacking in this story is that it is your single dude, and there's not enough like soliloquies of him with like, I mean, the joke was made earlier that we needed like a threesome,
right.
But there would be like conversations of our protagonist with the daughter and perhaps the wife, who we have no idea who that is.
Well, that's not a threesome.
It's like the greater world. But I mean, like,
step if they're not related,
right.
Sort of interactions. Then we would have had a story, right? Like we would have had some level of like, hey, I know you don't agree with me, but I'm going to argue for this like moral position. And that's what the story to me needs. It needs a little bit more like reason for you to get behind the way that the action sort of plays out. Like, why is this dude doing what he's doing? Like he's putting heads on a pike, right? And that's cool and all. But ultimately, we need to be motivated to support him in that.
He's a monster himself.
Yeah, it was just a big like.
Right, Josh. Like you're right on it, right? Like the way the movie ends is another little baby swerve, right?
Right.
It sort of, yeah.
Yep.
But you have to be single though to have like dead monster heads on your wall. 'Cause
Right.
no chick's gonna be.
You can't do
hanging
that
out
like that.
Like, it's bad enough.
You would know, right?
Well, it's bad enough me putting up like
I had to get rid of all
tree
mine,
or no
yeah.
tree.
I mean, you got the sexy speakeasy. You don't have heads all over your wall.
Yeah, it's one
Yeah.
of my Captain America and
Right.
like Nomad action figures. But if I bring
If
heads
you wanna
home,
bring
I'll
heads
bring
up,
you over to
that's
my
okay.
workshop sometime.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, it was bad enough that his tree wife, like, wasn't popular with his friends, but like he liked her. It's her bark was far worse than her bite. But to do the Blair Witch thing, I think that you made an interesting example to kind of support team fuck this movie's thesis, and that is that Blair Witch had less of a budget and managed to do more with less. You know what I mean? And granted, this is
Did
different.
it have less?
I feel like it did. It had.
For inflation, maybe
I
not.
think it may.
It's an
I think it
interesting
cost
point.
$15,000 to make.
In
I think.
90, it came out in 94, but
Yeah,
probably
so
was
that's a
made in
really
93.
interesting point, though. Inflation is important to this conversation.
Well, it came out in '99.
Yeah, it was
Really?
99,
Oh,
so it was
sorry,
20 years
sorry,
ago.
it was
Yeah,
set- it was
but
set
I
in
mean,
90, yeah.
like, it's a different movie, so you're right in saying it's not apples to
Their
apples.
budget was
comparison.
twice 60,000,
Oh,
Wow.
60,000.
Oh wow.
and it made 140 million. So it obviously did a little bit better than this one. But yeah,
I feel like a lot of that had to be
60,000 is like nothing though for a budget.
no, and a lot of it
That's
was
barely,
probably
that barely covers the catering.
the weird infrastructure of like how that movie got. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like,
right.
It definitely like sort of blazed the trail for internet, social media, and viral marketing.
Yeah, for sure.
And that stuff is cheaper than a big giant fucking billboard, but not free. Especially if you're kind of making it up as you go. But I just feel like the I don't know that like that movie paid off. I still don't like to think about that fucking weird dude standing in the corner.
Right.
Like so, I just feel like this just didn't. Like, to use the book metaphor again, I feel like I had to like flip back and look at numbers to make sure that I didn't miss some pages or something like that nobody like
It's interesting because I didn't think that at all. And me, I watched this with T Dog, and she felt like we both kind of talked about it afterwards, and like it all like the dots kind of connected for us, and there was enough there to make you wonder, like, oh well, what does this guy do? What's his thing? So
I'm not implying I didn't get it or that
I'm
it was
not
missing.
saying you
yeah,
didn't.
that it was missing some story or whatever else. Like I feel like I was on with everything that was happening. I just didn't give two tugs and a twist, I guess.
So we do need to wrap this up in just a moment, but I wanted to get to the chat room real quick. We got some people hanging out. Paps is in the chat room. Your son Paps, Mars.
Yeah, I made him with my sperm.
Yeah, and he says this movie reminded me of playing The Witcher 3. You beat the monsters, but goddamn, just barely.
Yeah, well, whatever. Paps, go kiss a girl. Like, I don't
He's got a girlfriend.
likely story.
Creepy Girl wants to know why the heads were so heavy.
They were fucking really heavy. They were heavy.
Creepy Girl also says yes, like we needed to see his daughter's death to dramatize the situation.
Not at all.
You want to see kids die?
Kids,
That's
whatever.
great.
Jeez.
First, we want to see a
Wow,
weird.
that's morbid.
First, we want to see mom tree, dad tree, threesome, and now we want them dead. This is
That's a
this
fucking
is fucking
movie.
yeah. This is a
You
weird.
know?
Who's fucking? This is like a look into Monte Zero psyche.
Yeah. Well, hey, you got to have a hobby.
Yeah, I don't.
I would
Tree moms
love-
and tree dads are a different fantasy
Right.
story, I think.
Yeah, it's not good. You
I,
get splinters.
I wish Frank Frazetta was still around so he could draw MZ as the death dealer.
Oh my god. But we do have Raven J.
Yeah.
Raven J. Yeah.
Hasn't the Simpsons guy ever drawn Death Dealer? Because I feel like that's what it'd look like.
Yeah, as Homer as death dealer.
Matt Groening.
It's got that weird skin tone and.
All right. Is there anything else about this film that you guys wanted to bring up before we head to a verdict?
It looked like a like I don't know. Like I felt like the whole thing was like a dramatization of like Glory Hammer artwork. Like I didn't like I just felt like this all looked fucking awesome and was stuff I wanted to see, but like it didn't happen.
Mars, if you lived in that Monster Hunter cabin, don't you think you would contact Ares to get him to come fix that window?
Exactly. Yeah, and no one else. They would be,
Wait, did that bug the fuck out of you, Aries?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I knew it.
You know what? That monster can wait. Finish cutting that board. Fix that window.
there would be first of all, if I lived there would be no monsters within like a 200-mile radius. Second of all, I would have
Okay.
I would have blown the horn and had Ares come fix the window because I would have like who knows. And thirdly, I would have had Ares come kill. I would have had Ares come kill all those spiders because I do not like spiders.
So that was actually Ares, and Mars is the one with the fucking horn. Instead of having a phone to text, that was his
Fix my
method.
toilet!
Fix my toilet.
So he's not fighting monsters at all. He's
Actually-
just doing chores and
Yeah, exactly.
We need to actually talk about that because now that I live in a different part of the house, I technically right now don't have a toilet. So
You gotta build one.
some nights it's been cold. They have to go out
Just
back.
go out
and
the
pee in
window.
back. No.
You go, use the screen
Yeah,
method.
use
yeah.
the screen.
Piss through the screen.
Piss through the screen like
I would have to
radio.
climb up onto something because I'm lower than window level.
Shit through the screen factory.
That's what I had to do.
Shit through the screen and it'd be like a Play-Doh fun factory.
No, because he'd call me to clean the screen.
There's ShamWow.
You know, cut little like half moons and stars into it and shit.
You're a weird fucking dude.
Thank you.
He's not the one
Spaghetti
shitting through a
string.
screen.
I'm not shitting through a screen either, but I
No,
did.
but give it time. You
No,
will.
I have been saving it till I get to work though, so I don't have to have the indignity of going upstairs and be like, "Excuse me, may I please use your bathroom
Well, if
to
the
take a
shit gets
giant
stuck
dump?"
if the shit gets stuck in the screen, you can always call Raven Shadow.
Will you
to
stop
piss it all
talking about
out.
shit on the screen?
I know.
To piss it all out.
You know what you can do, Mars? You can get some more shit. And you can, fucking great.
I'm
Keep
so
going.
glad. I'm so glad
And I
this is
shit,
happening
too.
while the Chromecast
Yeah.
boys are hanging out with
Oh,
us.
Fucking
they're into scat stuff.
Oh my God.
Nah, we got to talk about this when Tony Tapone's on. Get him.
That's very Hyborian.
that is Hyborian.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this
You
right
shit, you
fucking
shit in
now.
a bucket.
Conan don't wipe.
Solomon Kane, fucking Conan, Cull, he wouldn't have fucking come back busted up like
Deathstalker?
a fucking job
Yeah.
dude every single.
Deathstalker
Well,
would though.
yeah, well, Deathstalker like never did anything except like hang out on Molly Hatchet records. Like,
No, it was that was Death Dealer.
Death Dealer.
that's what I just said.
No, Death Stalker.
I
Oh.
said
Is what he was
Deathstalker.
talking about.
Who the fuck is Deathstalker?
That fucking
They're
amazing
cousins.
movie
Yeah.
They're distantly related.
With the Giants.
with the
Or-
Giants.
or,
With the Giants on the cover.
Or
Oh
you-
yeah. There's no fucking gargoyles. in
What
that.
about
know.
Yor?
Huh?
Get
Yor,
Yor.
yeah.
Yeah. No,
Pepper Patty?
your would have got fucking
Or
killed
Red
too.
Sonja.
What about
Beastmaster.
yeah, Podo
Beastmaster.
and Kodo?
Yeah, Beastmaster would have done okay. Yeah,
Or Hercules.
made for TV Mark Hamill.
Let's just keep naming fantasy heroes.
They're
Come on.
just naming
Keep
all
going.
the sword and sorcery
Yeah.
characters.
Perseus. You know what's funny is it took one thing away from me to not be talking about Robert E. Howard anymore. Like it was like I was naming Robert E. Howard stuff and was going for more, and then Monsters was like Grimace. He's just saying things.
Thunder the Barbarian.
Robert Downey Jr.
Dark Ages Batman.
Jack Sparrow.
Johnson and Johnson.
And Wales.
Yeah.
Trick or treat, baby.
I wonder if people would say you're a trick or a treat.
Trick or treat, motherfucker.
All right, it is time for the verdict. We're going to let you know whether this flick was a trick or a treat and any final thoughts we may have. Let's start with the Chromecast guys. I think we know their thoughts. We pretty much gave our thoughts about it so far, but let's make it official, Luke.
Yeah, so I guess I'm gonna go ahead and say this is a trick. Like, bottom line is if you want to take a little surreal like story trip with a little bit of sword and sorcery, I would say go with Mandy over this one because I think they capture some of the same ideas. This one's got a lot of heart, but it just needs like the editor's knife to sort of pair it.
71 minutes.
Yeah, it felt long for 71 minutes. I'll tell you this, Luke. We should hang out.
Let's do that, man. Let's do that.
I like the way you think.
How about you, Josh?
I'm gonna say it's a treat. I liked it a lot. I'm not on team fuck this movie. I'm on team make sweet love to this movie.
I'm on your team, Josh.
Wow,
Nice.
you boring ass.
I'm on
missionary position.
Luke team.
Oh,
It's not gonna be
there
a
you go.
threesome.
Threesome?
I'm gonna go-
Wow.
I'm gonna go with trick.
It's true. Yeah, we've thrown out the olive branch for this threesome.
It's a threesome between the three of us.
Yeah, that's good. Morning wood a new meaning.
No doubt.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
Oh man. Do you have any other thoughts, John, or was that it?
I didn't hate it. I mean, I'm not gonna say like it's the worst movie I've ever seen. That's
it's
still
certainly
Her Highness, which I think I saw a few
Jesus
years ago.
Christ.
Although
that was
the
a real bad one.
the Minotaur cock was funny. I will say.
But yeah, there's just something that was missing. It didn't quite pull me in. Maybe it was my expectations. Like I said, I thought we were going to get much more of like, hey, I stabbed this monster and now I do the head thing, and there just wasn't enough of that for me.
All right, so let's go around the table here in the room, in the studio. Raven Shadow.
I thought this was fine.
You like the length.
Yeah, good length, nice. That's how all movies should be.
What about the girth?
Yeah, it was nice. The circumference was really on point. I mean, this is how fucking long Endgame should be. I'll see that in the fucking theaters.
Endgame should be 71 minutes.
Perfect. It all works out. Cap throws his shield. Everyone's back to life. That's it. Fucking cue fucking end credit scene. Show Spider-Man swing.
Hey, fuck off.
What?
Endgame, hour and a half. Really?
That's a lot of fucking time.
It is.
Endgame
It's 3 hours, 2 minutes.
Yeah, shoot part one.
And
part two.
no piss break time. Is what they said.
Yeah, no piss breaks, Morris.
I'm not going. So I'm out.
Yeah.
Is this going to be the first Avengers movie you miss?
Yeah, this is an Avengers movie. They're wearing the fucking black hole wardrobe and like everything else. Like I don't like it.
Oh. But this movie.
Yeah.
But no, I mean it. I don't know. Once again, it kind of. I go back to this a lot as of late. But much like I like The Battery, that was very more subdued take on like a zombie apocalypse. You just saw two dudes in a truck or car or whatever.
This also reminded me of The Battery, so I'm really terrified of the strange connection we have right now.
Oh, we go back even farther, baby. But no, I thought it was fine. You know, what do you do when you have one suit of armor and one fucking horse and a dead girl? This is the fucking movie you make, and access to the Halloween outlet with gift cards, and you buy more fucking masks. So I'm not on team hate this movie. I'm not team make sweet love to this movie. I'm on team give this movie a hand job and grab the twigs and berries.
Then give it cab fare.
Yeah, and get the fuck out.
Jesus.
Well, yeah, I mean, normally that's not the way that looks. Like basically, like, I think you're trying to be macho, but you're being very accommodating. You're giving it a hand job, and you're paying for its ride home.
And the cab fare.
Yeah, so that's real
This
nice.
is not a bad arrangement for this film.
Yeah. Well, my mom's coming over. You gotta fucking go. Get the fuck out. I can't explain this. All right. It was fucking great. Great.
All right.
Stop it.
Stop. Knock it off.
Knock it off.
Honey, why were you giving a tree a hand job in the basement?
Shut up, Mom. I'm 42 years old.
Aries.
I really don't think I can follow that up. I'm gonna like go against the grain here and say I think this movie was a little too short.
Good one.
Oh, it wasn't a pun. Wow. Look at me, I do jokes. No, I thought this movie. They probably could have in the first half of this movie made the scenes flow a little better because I just thought it was a little. They'd build up tension and then they'd cut away and there was no flow to the first half of the movie, and then the twist, the turn, whatever. The movie, it started to flow better. It was a different movie at that point, but it did flow better. But yeah, I enjoyed this movie. It's not an easy watch. But it is a short watch. But it is enjoyable. It's a treat.
All right, MZ.
Yeah, this is a long 72 minutes.
For sure.
There's no doubt about that. Yeah, and I agree with everyone else. I mean, the first half is rather humdrum. There's really nothing going on. Like you were saying, the flow is really off. There's nothing fluid about the way this movie is edited at all.
When you get that flow.
But when things start picking up, it's to that point. Do you really start caring? Quite honestly, not really. It's got awesome photography. The lead character definitely looks the part. The costume design is fantastic. It's got a lot of good things going for it, but that story, man, is just and the story and its execution is what's really killing it. And I hate saying that, but there's no getting around it. Unfortunately, this is this is a trick.
All right, Mars.
Almost a treat. Like there was stuff I liked here, and it was harmless, but like I don't know. I guess it's a trick. I don't know. I wanted this. I really liked the way it looked. I really liked the armor. I liked some of the heads. Like they did vary from like fucking, like Filipino like Blood Island movie to like really good, well made like, head, but like I think one of those monsters had buttons for eyes, but the but I don't know. It just didn't do anything. Now, if I'm being completely diplomatic, this may not have been the best week for me to watch 2 movies, and one of them be like almost a nearly silent character study. But as we watch it right now, it just wasn't my jam.
But it gets like 5 points for style, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the substance that's a couple shy.
Yeah, 5 points for style, and the substance being shy is the name of my new memoir, by the way. So.
You can take that one.
Yeah.
Go with-
Yeah.
Look at you guys organizing your tag team here.
I know.
It's
Now
really
you guys
good,
are
I know.
buds.
I know. It's gonna be good. That should be a style and substance. We're gonna, you got to come up with a name though. I'm the goth chic, so
Are you the style or substance?
I'm obviously the style. I'm the goth chic.
All right, and for me, I thought this was a treat. I was amazed to find out that this was the same fucking dude that did Thanksgiving. I could not believe that. And it really blows my mind because I thought this film was fucking awesome. I like love the atmosphere. It's so creepy and it just looks so amazing. And I think this is for me, I think it's a breakout performance for Christopher Reeve. I just thought he had his screen presence was very powerful to me, and he carried this movie. Without a good performance, this movie falls flat on its face because he's on screen, I would say
100%.
100% of the time. And I just thought he had this quiet confidence. I just loved seeing him on screen, and that did a lot for me. So I think that I actually think the budget shortcomings actually helped this movie. And once again, that's just, I sort of gave some insight as to why I think that. The fights probably are just better imagined than they would have played out on screen with this budget. If they had showed all the fights, we probably would have been saying, this wasn't very good. Like the effects were bad. And, I just think, and they would have had to done it in darkness, and it would have had to been really, you wouldn't have been able to see what was going on anyway. So,
but if they did it with symphonic power metal going, then that
okay,
would have covered up for all the shortcomings.
maybe, yeah. But I just think that this is a cool, for me, it was a cool pulp horror fantasy flick, which, I didn't really have too many expectations other than that after seeing the trailer, and this kind of delivered. And I thought it had a lot of great atmosphere, and surprisingly had a lot of good horror in it as well. Kept hearing "buddy," like that was kind of fucking creepy.
I forgot about that. You know what it reminded me of? This old cool story, Tailypo.
Oh yeah, I know Tailypo.
Yeah. Like, and it sort of, I feel like it had to be in the, judging by just the payoff, it had to be in the DNA of the story as well.
Yeah, and I still think that Death Dealer was probably the biggest influence, because even down to the horse was black, his armor was similar. I think that someone just said, I know there's Death Dealer comics. I never read them. I think Glenn Danzig did some of them.
Yeah. Veronica.
I'm sure. I'm sure they're great.
But for me, this was almost sort of like a look at like Death Dealer, of sort of his everyday, his day to day, or what he would do.
He does at home.
Yeah, exactly. Makes a poultice, and
That's what that
talks
thing
to his
was.
dead
It was
daughter.
his calendar. It was like 9 p.m.
Better heads in gardens.
Pose for 9 p.m. Pose for Molly Hatchet cover.
Glenn Danzig, like a day in the life, right?
Yeah.
I like Better Heads in Gardens.
Yeah, it's true. That I'm gonna get a subscriber to that in medieval times.
Yes.
All right,
It's
so
in the dentist's office, medieval times.
So that's going to wrap up our discussion of The Headhunter, and I gotta give a big thanks to the dudes from the Cromcast. And it didn't seems like we could just hang out and talk all night. So
Or I've renamed that show Luke and Those Dudes.
Luke and the other ones.
So we'll talk to you again in another couple years.
we call it the surly critical one, and then the other like slightly optimistic other two dudes.
Luke and the Lukettes.
I have to balance.
Keep things positive.
I have to balance out that darkness, man.
oh shit.
Like this dark side.
Dark side coming, nothing is real.
So So, Josh, if you would, please let folks know where they can find the Cromcast on social media and also where they can find more information about the show.
Sure, Johnny. We're on the web at thecromcast.blogspot.com, and we're on all the requisite social medias, including Instagram now, where it's mostly just crooked selfies of us playing Dungeons and Dragons.
Love it.
So we're on all those, and you can subscribe to the show on all of the requisite podcatchers as well. We're even on Stitcher now, and Spotify. So we're on all of the places.
That's where I listen to you on Stitcher.
Yeah, you
Nice.
love the Stitcher.
Yeah, I let 3 or 4 episodes build up. I sit down with my dice. I take a turn, even though all my things are ineffectual because they're not really there.
Only
But-
natural 20s for you,
yeah,
right, Mars?
Yeah, my D&D is like my pop charts. I'm always critical hits.
Nice.
Say that again.
Yeah, say it again.
My D&D is like my pop charts. I'm always critical hits.
Oh, that's good. All right. Well, we really appreciate you guys taking some time and joining us for episode 350. It's special that for us that we got to do this with you guys, and
I really appreciate it.
Yeah, we definitely will have to team up again in the future. I know it's with 8 different people's schedules to try to plan, it can be a pain. But you guys are always welcome back, and if you guys need some support of people who are less intelligent than you on the Cromcast, feel free to
call
reach
us.
out. Yeah.
I'll do it.
Yeah.
I said less intelligent, not intelligent.
No, I'll bring the fucking issue of What If when Conan comes to the Marvel Universe. That's fucking.
Hold on. We can't let these guys go yet. I have a fucking problem that only they can help me with.
Okay.
So I was at my local comic book. Well, not my local, but I was at the comic book shop across the hall from where I work, right? And the awesome comic book kid was like, pretty much like talking about comics. And as going through the new comics, I saw that there's a fucking comic, and I had posted this on the board, but literally seeing the actual like art, like how they come out with the like little leaflets that's like cover size. That's a thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a comic coming out where the team consists of Venom,
Oh yeah.
Wolverine, Punisher, and Conan.
And Brother Voodoo.
And Brother Voodoo. Yeah, tell him not. So I was hoping you guys could tell him not to fucking do that.
It's the Savage Avengers.
Yeah, like I
Let
think
me
you guys
just get
have some
Joe
sway.
Quesada on the phone.
Yeah, I think you guys have some sway with the Howard estate. If you can just say that's not a thing. It's like honestly like my 8th grade like Marvel Comics role playing group, like where everybody's like everyone basically played the same character in a different suit. Like yeah, no, I don't know. I don't like it. Can you guys do something about that?
We were afraid that would happen, and the plan's already in motion.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Well, there you go, Mars. You happy with that outcome?
I am. You guys
Okay.
are my dudes, so thank
Good.
you very much.
All right, so big thanks to Josh, Luke, and John from the Cromcast, and everyone. If you haven't yet, go check out the Cromcast. It's a great show, and we love these dudes, and we appreciate you guys taking the time.
Thanks so much, man. This was a blast.
Yeah, dude. Thanks
Yeah.
a bunch.
Thanks again.
Absolutely, guys. All right, we're going to head to a break, and we'll come back, and we're going to connect up with the dudes from the Cult of Muscle, and we're going to talk about Triple Threat. So we'll be back in how long, MZ?
We'll be back in 2 and 2.
Do you love a scary story? Do you love to dance? The Big Scary Monster Haunts at Midnight is a collection of dark songs about sex, love, death, revenge, and the end of the world. Brought to you by the world's greatest monster hunting electro-genre band, The Deadites. Available on iTunes, Google Music, Amazon, CD Baby, and all other digital distribution sites.
I'm Mike Allred.
For the gidgiest listening experience, you got to check out Trick or Treat Radio.
You go through your week with the same old routine.
What you really want is some blood and thunder in your life.
Well, friend, you found it.
The Cromcast is an adventurous journey through the history of two-fisted pulp stories.
With your hosts, John,
Josh,
and Luke.
We have action,
horror,
and adventure, all through the lens of pulp luminary Robert E. Howard.
Don't just stay in your ordinary life.
Find your pulp life at thecromcast.blogspot.com.
The Cromcast.
The Cromcast.
The Cromcast.
A podcast for the barbarian at heart.
Trick or Treat Radio, man. That's where it's at. That's the new Fangoria Radio.
We're back at Trick or Treat Radio.
Oh, wow, that was fast.
It was fast. It was 2 and 2, MZ.
Damn.
4.
So, all right. So we appreciate the Cromcast dudes coming on and hanging out with us. Always a pleasure to hang out with those dudes. And now, moving on to the next film.
Moving on up. And the next guest.
And the next guests. Yes.
Can I introduce them?
Yes, you may.
Oh, man. Ladies and gentlemen, 2 of my favorite human beings on earth.
That's not what you were saying last week.
I'll be quiet. 2 of my favorite human beings on earth. First off, we have from across the border the man, the pigeon seagull whisperer, the legitimate son of Seaweed Mommy. I love him. I like to call him Northern Comfort. Ladies and gentlemen, CDR.
Heyo.
What's up, CDR? It's been a while.
Fucking long time.
Been a hot minute.
It has been. It's been like 20 minutes.
I think it's probably actually been like a year or 2.
You've seen Mel Gibson more times than you've seen us in the past year.
That's true. Yeah, that is true.
Yeah. It's not good.
His biceps are amazing.
Really nice. So is his beard, right? His beard's good.
Mustache. He had a mustache when I saw him.
Are his biceps racist too?
Just the mustache.
That's true. Mustaches are for racists. But we're forgetting somebody.
No, you are.
No, I'm not. Well, I did. All the way from everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah. My little $9.99 love buffet.
What? Oh, fucking almighty. I think I'm going to puke.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jake E. Poo.
I'm going to fucking puke.
$9.99 love buffet.
Hi, handsome. Also, founding member of the tag team, Dawkin with Dawkin.
Is that like when you go to a Chinese restaurant, you order, or a Chinese buffet and you order takeout and you just fill the fucking container?
That's the fucking best. I once did that at my buffet. I was with my
Your
friend.
buffet?
With our buffet, the buffet we used to go to.
That we used to go to. That I probably couldn't eat a damn thing at now.
Yeah. I did the fill up thing and I grabbed I lifted up the container by the lid and it tore and fell on the floor. So then filled up a
Do you
container.
take a napkin and then fill it with food, then throw it on a stick and hold it behind your back like you're a hobo?
I am a hobo, so
he's
kind.
he's hobosexual.
I am. I'm the fucking
Hobo with the buffet?
Yeah,
That's
I'm the fucking barrel fire having, boxcar jumping, Frank and bean eating son of a gun.
You're on fire tonight.
Yeah.
You should drink all the time, Mars. What is going on here?
I only drink when I'm with Jake so that he can take advantage of me.
Sure.
You didn't drink when we're in AC?
I drank enough.
Jake drank it all.
Jake drank it all.
Yeah.
Or as Coop corrected, not all, most. So yeah.
Just most.
And Raven Shadow's returning because it sounds like the fucking headless horseman's galloping up the hall right now.
So before we continue on and get any further, I want folks to know more about the Cult of Muscle. So where can folks find you guys, and what have you guys been talking about lately? Good question,
Well,
right?
Just Google us, you'll find us.
Yeah, we're on Google.
I feel like we say that every time because we don't really have like a good running list of places where you can download our show, but we're out there. You can find us. More importantly, oh fuck, I totally should have edited and uploaded the show today. Oh well, most recently, by the time this is released, our new episode will be fuck, what was it? It was Sin City.
Yes.
Nice.
And it was the Hong Kong. Yeah, Duel to the Death. Hong Kong ninja wuxia the shit crazy movie. And then the week before that, we did Dragged Across Concrete and The Passion of the Christ.
Which, by the way, your Dragged Across Concrete review was very good. I appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
No comment on Passion of the Christ? Come on.
Yeah.
No, I thought that.
Yeah, for real, right?
I didn't have a point
I
of
was
reference.
passionate about that one.
Yeah.
We're an action podcast, and we picked Passion of the Christ. Give us some credit here.
Sounds like CDR's ahead of me.
Yeah, I am a little bit.
It's okay. I love you too.
How does Passion of the Christ compare to Last Temptation of Christ? Which is better?
I've never seen Last Temptation. To
Oh.
be honest.
Really?
This is a fucking revelation. 'cause
I know.
Right now, I just realized that they're not the same movie.
You get Harvey Keitel wearing a silly red beard and talking in a New York accent.
Yeah.
Playing Judas.
Get that fucking Christ down here, huh?
Dragged across the manger.
That's one was directed by Martin Scorsese and the other one was directed by Mel Gibson. Mars.
Wow, that's crazy.
That's the.
Which one is more racist? That's a toss-up.
But Willem Dafoe was fucking awesome as Jesus.
Yeah, he was great. It's a really good movie. I haven't seen it in a hot minute, but
yeah, same here. I love that movie though.
I mean, there's no chubby Satan baby being tugged around. No one's getting their face flogged off, so it's working at a disadvantage.
I've actually never seen Passion of the Christ. That's why I asked.
You should see it. Like if you guys it is a movie that needs to be seen just to know that it exists, because it's not like we talk about it on the show, but it's like freaky, like radical, even compared to like the normal Christians that like ran out and flocked to see it. Like it's a fucking trip.
It's vicious.
That was the first Blu-ray I ever owned.
Really?
What?
Yeah, no, for real.
That was your showcase piece?
Well, no, because it was a gift. My cousin's husband, who's a good guy, but he's a born-again Christian.
Was he?
And he kind of, yeah. I guess he still is. He's still alive. But, yeah, he was born again, and people kind of bust his balls a little bit for it. So I tried to talk to him and kind of, hey, whatever the fuck. It's cool. Do your thing.
Hey, whatever the fuck.
But he gave me that. He's like, you really should, Raven Shot, you should really see this. And I'm like, yeah, I'll get right on it. But I haven't seen it yet, but I do have it. So maybe we could have the boys over and watch
Tell
it.
them to watch a Serbian film. That'll straighten them out.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I've never seen it, but yes, exactly.
Mad Jesus Beyond Bethlehem.
Yeah.
So if you guys have not checked out the Cult of Muscle, I don't know what the fuck you're waiting for,
What
but
a
go
fucking
go
bunch of
find them on
losers.
Google.
Yeah.
Yes.
Here's what you can do. You can come to my house when the new episode drops, right?
You can cuddle up with Mars.
Cuddle up with me. All of you. Everyone listening can cuddle
His
up with me. My couch
his
is huge.
$9.99 love buffet.
No, that's only Jake.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, that's a bargain because that's a lot of love. Like he uses both hands.
What? How does that come out to Canadian dollars? Is
Yeah, I
Chris
don't
the
know.
$12.99?
$48.99.
Yeah, I know. It's not a good exchange right now. It's like 90s inflation. It's almost quadruple. But if you go up there, you'll fucking clean up. You'll be the $78.99.
We've
Love
reverted
buffet.
back to a pelt trade.
So this is important to our 350 episodes. Whenever my adoration for my fellow Hossman Jakey is well and publicly known, but CDR was one of our OG guests.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
Absolutely.
So it's real cool to have you here, man, for this fake
Thanks.
milestone.
Thanks to be back.
Back in the Mill Creeps days.
That's
wait. Oh, wait, that was your show, Jakey, right?
Back in the the Jakey's first show, we coined Ronald Schwarzenegger. So
That's right.
That's right.
Yeah. Good old Ronald.
That was a wonderful time.
You have a hamburger.
that's a good. Oh, you know what I wanted to do before we talked about the movie?
What?
And we talked about it, and I forgot all about it. There's a special voicemail.
The Big Mac.
Oh yeah.
It's
I
not.
forgot.
It's not
Glad you
Cult of
reminded me.
Muscle specific, because it took a lot to get this person to even function like a human being, because he was drunk off his ass at 2 p.m. in the afternoon.
I did not call in.
But yeah, he came to talk about this film specifically, and he didn't mention it at all. So, but I think we should still run it now. It's very important.
Just give me a sec to get it.
Yep.
Because I totally forgot to get the voicemail ready. So
No, it's my fault for not reminding you. So yeah,
so we don't need any other setup. It's
no. You'll know what's happening as soon as it starts to
All right.
happen. All right, here you go, everybody. Happy 350.
Happy 350. So I don't know what this is, but we'll find out.
I think I know.
He's a movie dragon and he thinks you should
Whoa!
know. He's a really motherfucking big fan of the show. He's gonna watch movies and let you know. And he hates Raven Shadow because he thinks he's a hoe. He sings, sang, bing, bang. He sings, sang, soon.
Oh, you can't do it anymore.
Hey there, this is Satan Sue speaking. What's up, guys? I heard it's the biggest show in history. I'm really excited. I hope you guys be there with me, or I'll die for ya.
Are you drunk, Sang?
I guess I am for a day.
Are dragons allowed to drink at noontime?
Hell yeah, we just love to drink. Come on now.
Do you like to drink more than the Japanese mosquito likes to drink?
Yes, more than mosquito can drink.
Oh, that's a lot. So, before we let you go, Sing Soon, it's we miss you. You've been a big part of the first 350 episodes. Have you seen any good movies lately?
No, I haven't, Sally. We dragon like to work a lot. We're a bunch of crazy dragons.
What was the last movie you saw?
The last movie I saw, let's see. I would say the last Congress of the Black Nuns.
I beg your pardon?
I said the Black Nun.
Like, do you mean like African American nuns, or what are you talking about?
I'm talking about the nun that scared the shit out of people in Italian.
The nuns, Italian? Like, I don't know. So, what did you like about it?
It's freaking awesome because this nun is really a demon, and she pretty much scared the shit out of everyone.
Was that like her job? Like she went to the door and like rang the bell and scared everybody?
Yeah, but it's quite different, you know?
No, I don't know, because you'd be very vague.
Well, this nun, she pretty much is a demon, and she pretty much wanted to kill you all. That's all she wanted.
Are you sure she's a nun? That doesn't sound like in their job description.
Yeah, she's a nun. She likes to kill people, okay?
So you and her have something in common then, right? She is a nun, and back at home you're not getting none.
Oh, that's so rude of you, Mars. I think you need to check your little dang-a-dang over there.
Wow. All right. Well, say goodbye and tell everybody what you think of 350 episodes. Say soon.
I think it's blasted awesome. Can't wait to see you all again.
Do you have a message for Raven Shadow?
Raven Shadow, you still need to get late, buddy.
How about Monster Zero?
Him too.
Let's not be too crazy. What about Johnny Wolfenstein?
I think he already got laid from someone else. I don't know, close by. Oh,
Wowie. All right.
He doesn't know where
With
he's
that, I have to go. He's a movie dragon and he thinks you should know. He's a really motherfucker big fan of the show. He's gonna watch movies and let you know. And he hates Raven Shadow because he thinks he's a hoe. He's sing sang, bing bang, sing sang soon. Nice note hitting. So an interesting thing about this, I thought in like trying to, you know, you have to kind of prep Sing Sang Soon a little bit because a lot of people don't know this, but not only is Sing Sang's the guy who taught Sing Sang Soon English not very good at his job, he's also on air drinking Captain Morgan Spice rum right now. So you know, it's not so good. But I was like, you know, we're gonna go around and we're gonna say something. He was like, I know maybe talk about Not Tiny White. I'm like, what are you talking about? You know, the one who Not Tiny White. And I had no fucking idea of like what I think he's afraid of Aries.
Oh, well, that's fair.
Yeah. So, but I think there's a slight chance, like maybe, you know, either like, you know, that he may, you know, show up at 350, but he's out of control. His hair, I don't know what he's doing. His hair looks like, you know how in a Warner Brothers cartoon, a flower pot falls down and hits like somebody in the head and they have a flower. Like, for whatever reason, he can't like comb like this weird Vietnamese colic down or whatever it is, because he has like all these hairs sticking up in the middle of his head and he just fucking mills around like that's what you fucking do. Like if you saw him from far away, you would think he had a top knot, but it's just like his hair is completely out of control. Like
he looks like he's from Whoville.
Yeah, it's exactly. He's all unshaven. Like I think he might be homeless. I'm not sure now, but he's a fucking disaster. But
well, maybe you can room with him.
He's like you know what else is funny about it too? You know how all the times that he's in the chat room, I'm like, why don't you go in the real chat room instead of YouTube? You go, I can't do it because I work in. And I'm like, oh. But then I realize he's still in the YouTube chat room, which means he's fucking sandbagging it, watching our show somewhere. So, but yeah, he was really excited. He like, you know, he came in specifically, and we were gonna do that thing, and he was really, really awesome. He's like, I got a lot. Like yesterday, he was like, I got a lot to say, and then I was like, okay, go. And I put the mic in front of him the first time. He's like, happy 325. And I was like, no, first of all. But like, yeah, so he's I was like, oh, we're gonna talk about the Cult of Muscle because they're gonna be on. All right. So you know what? Here's all right. So go. I'll press play. Say happy and talk about the Cult of Muscle. And he says all that fucking crazy shit about dying and like everything else. So, but it was awesome to see him, even though he looks like a fucking mess.
All right. Well, thanks to Sing Sang Soon for calling in. Now let's talk this Cult of Muscle guys. We have him here. Mars, your booze.
That is true. I love them.
Yeah.
They don't have me on anymore, but whatever.
I have to admit, I'm a little starstruck that Tony Jaa called you guys.
Talk.
Oh.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he could say that, though. He's Canadian. Things are different then.
Speaking of Tony Jaa, we're going to talk about Triple Threat. This action thriller is rated R. It is 96 minutes and just hit VOD a few weeks ago. And it is directed by Jesse V. Johnson, and it is written by Joey O'Brien and Fang Jin Song. And it stars Tony Jaa, the aforementioned Tony Jaa, Tiger Chen, Iko Uwais, Scott Adkins, Selena Jade, Michael Jai White, Michael Bisping, Jija Yanin, and let's see.
Sing Sang Soon.
Sing Sang Soon, yes. And the synopsis: a hit contract is taken out on a billionaire's daughter intent on bringing down a major crime syndicate. A down-and-out team of mercenaries must take on a group of professional assassins and stop them before they kill their target. So, obviously, this is Jake and CDR's forte. They do action. They do it better than anybody out there. So, what were you guys anticipating this? I mean, this is a pretty big cast of action stalwarts. So, were you guys looking forward to this?
Obviously, like it, in terms of like big time kind of collaborations, when it comes to like Asian stars, Asian action stars, like this isn't like, this wasn't going to be, Jet Li and Jackie Chan getting together at the height of their powers. Like, this is actually kind of like a cool, weird combination of different guys that are sort of varying degrees of their, like, kind of careers. Like, Tony Jaa's sort of on a revival. Iko's at the top of his game, and Tiger is just kind of like a cool under the radar dude to bring into this cast. So I thought it was like a really inspired kind of triple threat thing, and then to tie it all together with Michael Jai White and Scott Adkins. Like, I was stoked, but I did have like relatively muted expectations because at the end of the day, these guys do amazing things, particularly Tony and Iko and Tiger, when they work within their system. Whereas with this, they're working within the American independent VOD system.
Yeah.
Like Jesse V. Johnson, like he's like one of the more capable, like kind of VOD stalwarts out there. But at the end of the day, like, you're working with a set amount of time and money and talent at your disposal, and you're working with a guy who's very workmanlike. He's not known for amazing set pieces and stuff like that. So with this film, I think I had relatively muted expectations because at the end of the day, it is just kind of like an elevated direct-to-video action movie.
It's funny though that you say that because I do feel like Johnson, like, I don't know if it's like I get this impression that he's a fucking weirdo, right? Because I feel like his films, like, if you kind of watch them from the other room or out of the corner of your eye, would look exactly like that. And he's not a very inspired visually, but like they're all like a little weird. The pacing's a little strange.
For
like
sure.
you know what
For
I mean? Like there was the weird, heavy-handed cattle metaphor in The Debt Collector and Savage Dog. Just everything about it being a little fucking weird and off. An Accident Man has been sitting on my nightstand for like a year now, and I haven't watched it yet. I feel like an asshole because I was so excited for it, but I heard good things. Like this actually, and I'm not saying I didn't like it because I'll tip my hand. I did have a real good time with this, but like this actually looked a little less. This actually looked more like what you're saying you thought it was going to be. Then, like, I was actually disappointed that it was like not as. It was a little more standard fare visually and a little more. I guess pedestrian, for lack of a better way to do it, to talk about it. And my big disappointment actually came from that a couple of these matchups, not even thinking we'd actually seen, right? Like, like we never obviously had an Ito and a Michael Jai White, but we definitely had a pretty good Tony Jaa and Michael Jai White fight and skin trade, which was kind of like an under the radar version of this to a degree, like as far as like having some like cool matchups and stuff like that, and having Dolph Lundgren looking like Frankenstein through the entire running time of it, trying to play off that he had a beautiful 20-something-year-old wife. But
Dolph's pretty amazing in that movie. There's like a really good fight scene with him and Tony Jaa that plays
awesome.
out like really, really well.
Yeah, it's like a more thought out version of the one that he has with Jet Li, and was it the second Expendables movie? Where
one of them.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I
think it was the second
It's
one.
that sort of idea, like, but it's like just a little like, just way more inspired. Like I do really enjoy that fight. With this film, I thought that like the big draw in this was like with the exception of the team up in Beyond Skyline with Frankie Grizz.
Iko and Grill, yeah.
Yeah, like you don't you don't see a lot of him out of like as it was put out of the system in that thing. Like he kind of has worked most prominently with a couple of directors, and like those are the films that he's been in for the most part. He had that one bigger budget thing that I guess was underwhelming that came out in theaters this last summer. Do you remember what that was called, guys?
Wait, what?
Talking about Iko?
Iko, yeah.
Oh, he was in it was a Mark Wahlberg flick.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, whatever. I didn't see that, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, like, seeing him...
CDR just mentioned it. What was his CDR?
Mile 22, I think it was
Yeah,
called.
yeah, that sounds right. Like, so, yeah, it was really exciting to see him, in this environment, because, like, he's not, his pedigree is just a little bit more refined than everybody else in this movie, I would say. If by quality of film, if not check cashing anyway. But so I thought that was the big draw for me.
How about you, CDR?
Yeah, I had tempered expectations. I liked Savage Dog, but I'm kind of used to having high or even medium expectations for this kind of stuff, and even then still being kind of disappointed, because I feel like a lot of the time with DTV stuff, they come up with pretty fun sounding premises and fun combinations of actors and almost never pay off on their potential. And this is kind of like the ultimate version of that. Visually and aesthetically, this is a bit of a step above most DTV stuff. I think it's shot pretty well, and it looks higher caliber than most.
It's not
DTV
in Romania,
stuff,
so that
yeah,
helps.
exactly.
Yeah.
That location wise, it definitely is a step above. But I think it's kind of a bummer having all of these people together and then not having a single action beat in it that would stand out to you as memorable. And it's easy to blame budgets and stuff, but you think back at something like Marintow, and it's kind of a constant refrain on my part on our show when we talk about these movies, especially when you've got guys like Iko and Tony Jaa on there. Like the action choreography and the way it's shot in these DTV movies is never as good as its like straight from the country Indonesian or Thai counterparts.
Yeah.
And this is kind of the same deal. And I don't think it's a budgetary restraint. I think it's just like Jake said, maybe it's a time restraint. There's something about it that lacks the same punch that those other movies have. And like you look at something like what the hell is Here Comes the Night, or The Night Comes for Us.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, like that movie probably had a pretty equal budget, but it just has so much more in the savagery department.
Oh yeah,
which is kind of what you would want from seeing all these guys together. I want to see a big ultimate final fight with Atkins and Jaa and Iko Uwe where they're sticking sharp implements into each other's faces rather than just waiting for the Adkins token jump kick and then the fight's over.
Well, it's funny that you bring that up, CDI. I think that, it isn't inevitable, but this is the first straight action film with any sort of pedigree at all that, we've had to look at. In the same way, like, when both, respectively, when both everything that came out in the shadow of both Raid films, that we've kind of had to be like, like, not only are we judging it against its me anyway, I'll just speak for me. Not only am I judging it against its brethren, I'm judging it against that fucking juggernaut of a movie. So like the savagery, like you said, the actual just choreography, like everything about it, like it's just hard to add up against that. But for me, and again, I like this movie, I enjoyed it. I would say if you even look at something that was a big sleeper for me, and I'll bring it up again, Skin Trade, I don't think that this was as kinetic as that, or
no, I agree.
Or and certainly like there's a couple of great fight scenes in that movie that I was hoping to get to at least that, but I think that it's just that in the Hossman here will understand, and most of the Trick or Treat Radio guys. I know CDR is not a wrestling fan, but like you have these like this was like a super indie, right? Like there was like the international guys, and you brought in the best like domestic guys, and you were hoping to have like these great matches, and you had good stuff, but you didn't have like anything that like redefined like the genre, the art form at all. Like it was just
the last thing you want to say watching this combination of talent is that it's passable.
Sure.
And that's kind of just what it is.
That's a good point.
I think the charisma of everybody made it more than passable, but like not. It should have been fucking great, right? This should have been a slam dunk.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I agree. I think that when the word is out that this is like the Expendables of
Expendables movies. The Expendables of Expendables.
The Expendables
of B action.
of martial arts films. I expected a much higher caliber film than this.
Well, saying I mean,
I feel a lot better saying that, knowing that this is basically how it's going to be perceived by some or maybe all of the people that have spoken about it thus far. But I mean, you got these three guys, and they're fantastic in their field. Now, I'm not going to pretend I know anything about this shit because I don't. but from what I've seen, I've liked it. I've liked all of it. But this really was a step down from what I expected from these guys. And now this also made me think, now are these like martial artists that are actors, or actors that just happen to be martial artists? Well,
we've done, I think, a film of everyone in this movie except for Tony Jaa, right? Like,
I don't think we've done Scott Adkins on the show.
No. Never one time?
No.
Jesus, fuck. Like,
or I don't think we've done Tony Jaa.
I don't think we've done Tony Jaa. We did Manatee G.
Which Tiger Chen, yep.
Yeah, and we've done we've done
Eco.
Headshot and
Yep.
the Raids and
definitely a few Michael Jai
White.
Yeah.
Last week we did Jai White. Yeah.
Yeah. But these are all like another thing that's really disappointing about it, and not to shit on a movie I did like, is that all three of your leads have like really distinct like fighting styles, right? Like that they're kind of renowned for. And like I feel like the only one that came across is Tony Jaa's.
Well, that's sort of what when CDR was talking about it, that's sort of what I thought he was referring to too, when out of their own sort of element and their with their people, because as we know, like they do all have fairly different styles. And to see them all play together is interesting, but it may not necessarily be a great match.
Yeah, I mean, like we've seen that Eco. Not to say that the Night Comes for Us is but he sort of genericed up his style a little bit and like had like a like a more cinematic martial arts style than he did in say Headshot or obviously like the Raid films. So like it wasn't a big surprise to see him like kind of just doing his like greatest hits and stuff like that, but like. I don't know that I really stuck on that indie comparison because I felt like this was like we've been blessed in the fact that we get a lot of international guys now and they fight their heart out. But like I remember in 2005 or 2006 going to see Ring of Honor shows and just getting like the Great Muda's greatest hits.
I totally agree with you. And I think that is a very apt sort of comparison, because if you're right, if we go to see like some high school gymnasium show. And it's like a 6-man tag, and they put on an amazing match, and we don't know anyone in it. Right. It's going to take us completely by surprise. But if we go in and see like LIJ versus I don't know, like not Bullet Club, but LIJ versus like Chaos or something.
Sure.
And then it's a mediocre match, we're going to be disappointed because we expect better.
Right.
So I totally agree that it's hard to come in with this without expectations, because all of these guys, for the most part, are like. Have carried their own films and have had amazing action sequences and fights. So when you see them all sort of paired up in the film, you expect it to be amazing.
Well, the hour and 36-minute running time also gave me pause, because not only did I expect a more fulfilling storyline, which
that's not why you're coming for storyline.
Well, of course not. I mean,
what's the motivation?
When you got something like this going on, I thought for sure it would be like a 2-hour film at least.
Yeah.
Oh well, you're tempered by the Indonesian or like the Chinese version of this.
No, you're right.
Watched,
You're right. I'll give you that.
And not the Wells Fargo.
But
Wells Fargo?
The fight should have been longer to help pad out that running time, and it just didn't do that. It just amazes me that this is what we got out of it.
So let's just say the fights are fine, because we're certainly making it seem like they're bad, and
they were okay.
They're not. They're
nothing
just
to
not.
knock your socks off.
I mean, I watch a lot of shit, and this was certainly better than some of that shit, and and of course my expectations especially going to be bad because everyone knows how much I love Scott Adkins, and if I made a top 10 of modern films like Rama, I did the fucking Harry Potter thing with Eco again, like where I was just
call him Rama.
But like that dude would be in like probably 5 of those movies easy, right? Like so, like expectations were high. So it was disappointing in like just the what you came there for element, but like where I think this movie's biggest failure, and I'm gonna go to Headshot, or I'm gonna go to even like some of the stuff in the Undisputed movies, that the action that wasn't like hand-to-hand combat, which should have been like again a slam dunk for this, wasn't. I think kinetic is maybe the word that I want to use. Like there's a lot of running around and chases and stuff like that, and there's like, in like Skin Trade, there's all these fucking cool scenes where like people are riding motorbikes through like through like these markets and doing like all these stunts and stuff like that. And
There weren't any major set pieces in this.
No, there was that one fucking really on brand, crazy Scott Adkins jumping on that car.
Yeah.
Thing, but like otherwise there wasn't like anything. And there again it just and there was the demise of the character from what was it, Chocolate there?
Gigi, yeah.
Yeah.
Chocolate mousse.
Yeah, like that
Chocolate mousse.
was kind of like more on brand for like the
she
like,
got atomized. That was
Yeah.
fucking like crazy.
It
Like,
was.
it's a movie that's weirdly chaste in terms of its action, like before and after that moment. Like, I honestly like got super optimistic once that happened. 'Cause I'm
Right.
like, oh, okay, they're playing with live ammo. Let's get going. Let's work with this. And then everything else was relatively standard after that, which is a little bit of a disappointment. I think that is sort of endemic about the movie at large, is that I think everyone involved has like the ability to really crank it up a little bit. It's just the script wasn't there for them, and they just didn't have like the imagination to really make some of these things work. Like,
yeah, I agree.
I think having a group of three guys and engineering the movie to forecast that, okay, these three guys are going to face these three guys at the end of the movie, and that'll be the climax. But we had Jija, who was great. Like, she was surly and grumpy, and she had a grenade launcher, and that's fun. We had a random French dude, and we had another guy, and then that's it. Like, we don't have a lot of Tony braining people with elbows and knees. We don't have a lot of, Tiger and Eco running roughshod. It's a lot of chases and a lot of like truncated like fights because you have to sell the final battle later. It's just a series of uninspired decisions that kind of held the movie back on top of some of the other things that it didn't have going for it.
And that's even for me, like I maybe was spoiled by stuff we watched lately, particularly Night Comes For Us, and I really wanted Night Comes For Us meets Expendables. Now, with that said, it was better than, say, a Billy Blanks or Jeff Speakman picture.
No, it depends on the Billy Blanks movie.
Yeah.
Well, fair, but like Don the Dragon Wilson, I
or
enjoy him.
For instance,
Depends on the
for instance, not that this movie was much of anything, but the movie we did last week was Boo and the Bounty Hunter for Wednesday Night Wars. Like that had very uninspired action. Like
Correct,
that, like
correct.
so compared to this, like this movie is like fucking like head
Right.
and shoulders way better than that.
Oh, far better.
But we expect better too. So there is that kind of what Mars said. There's
Right.
that expectation involved.
Now-
but the fighting was fine. Like it was good.
I thought it was good.
Yeah.
I thought it was good.
Yeah.
Like, you could see everything. It was filmed relatively well. It was just, it wasn't like high caliber, high execution stuff that we're used to seeing. But like within this movie's contemporaries on the American VOD side of things, like it is far better than you typically get. It was
Right.
well shot, well framed. You could see everything. It was well edited. Like, it wasn't confusing. Didn't feel like anyone was being cut around. Like, it was all done pretty well.
I mean, I've watched 20 just Scott Adkins movies that aren't that.
I think the biggest broken promise has been, and that it's partially on me personally, is getting really excited about this particular space based off of those last couple Universal Soldier sequels,
Right.
Which is kind of what we built our show off of. It was the first episode we reviewed both of those movies, and those are kind of the gold standard for DTV action. And we're talking about Dolph Lundgren and Jean-Claude Van Damme looking like old mummies, and the action in those movies is still better than anything that's come along since
Right.
in this space. And it's kind of a bummer. I don't know if it's John Hyams. He's kind of the secret sauce in those movies. I mean, apparently it is, because nothing since then has matched those movies.
Right.
And it's too bad that none of these that have come since have even bothered to try, it feels like.
Right. Well, our expectations, and I let my hope flag fly, I guess, because but I think you guys are being a little more realistic about it, and I think in reality, even I knew, and I understand where Raven Shadow's coming from, but I also didn't think that Johnson had a night comes for us in him. You know what I mean? So so for me, that would have been exceeding any sort of realistic expectations for this to compare to but I mean, if another director or I always say his name wrong, the Universe Hyams,
John Hyams,
was making it. You know what I mean? Imagine how fucking holy shit excited we would have been. So there was just I think that we were just I think that this is I think I would have been, and I hate use the word disappointed, because I would recommend this, but I think if I could go back, waste my time travel and be look at who made this, look at what else he made, look at the 100 of other movies you've seen with the the Caucasian end of this cast on it, and it's exactly what that is. I mean, it's no more than the sum of most of its parts. And I would have been totally satisfied, because it is that. You know what I mean? It's not it's maybe a little better, but it's certainly not any less than any of those other films that we talked about and mentioned.
Yeah. Anyone else? I know we've just been sort of just going off on just sort of just talking about it, but Aries or MZ. I know MZ's gotten some thoughts in, but you guys have any additional thoughts about this versus the other action stuff we've seen? No. All right. You figured I'd give you a chance.
Oh no! I mean, I
said
just
stuff.
your
I'm waiting
Aries.
on him.
I mean this. I got nothing to add really, because this movie wasn't great. It wasn't terrible. It's just
yeah. I mean, the story was almost like a little. I wouldn't say it was convoluted, but a little bit more convoluted than it probably had to be.
Well, I mean, it's a guy who's trying to get revenge for his sister getting killed by saving some people and then pretending to help the bad guys, only to not help them.
Yeah.
At a point where he's not actually taking advantage of anything. He's just
wandering around.
He's I will trick them. I will trick them.
And sets up the good guys twice.
Yeah, it's really silly. It's just none of that makes any sense whatsoever, and nobody buys it for a single fucking second. It's just what are you doing?
This is the action script equivalent to my 8-year-old nephew telling a story. And it's and then there was and then he teams with the bad guys and tricks the good guys, but he's really friends with the good guys, and then the bad guys are mad at him, but
then they beat him up, and they carry him away, and they feed him rice,
and then he jumps on the hood of a car.
Well, I'm looking at it, and it says there's three writers for this movie, and I'm sure everybody just clashed in what they wanted to have.
No, I doubt that. I just
I think someone wrote it, and then someone rewrote it, and then someone wrote it, and it just turned into a silly thing.
It wasn't a mess. It just was, a little bit more than it needed.
Yeah, these three guys weren't in a room smoking cigarettes and
why not?
Drinking coffee and arguing, speaking passionately about their decisions. It was probably just shit that was passed along.
I mean, I would say probably my biggest complaint with this movie is it was very Go America, even though they were the bad guys.
What?
Oh no, even though they were the bad guys, it took 2 or 3 Asian guys to take out one American.
That's kind of a martial arts film conceit, though, that happens at the end of all the way down the board, even the end of the raid, which is almost visually ridiculous, because those 2 actors have 3 inches on Mad Dog in that. But you'll see in a lot of martial arts films, I think it's to try to put over how powerful that guy is.
They just didn't do a good job of actually establishing that, because watching it, there's no reason to think he's any better at this than Michael J. White.
Well, I mean, I've seen. This isn't my first martial arts movie. This just seemed more so in this movie that it was
America.
Yeah, go America. These Americans, they can hold their own against one-on-one. It takes two to take them down, type of thing.
But only Michael Jai White was American.
I think it was less about America and more about big people versus little people.
Yeah.
I mean,
those other dudes were pretty big, man. Jesus.
Yeah, it is true. Bisbing and Atkins are not. I guess they're Caucasian, but yeah.
Non-Asian is basically what it would be.
which rhymes.
You put the cock in Caucasian.
Yeah. It's like you're doing like a Southern Georgia like gangster rap. Caucasian, not Asian. I like titties.
You're gonna do well, boy.
Yeah.
I like that song.
That's a hit.
That's a hit, boy.
That's a critical hit.
Yeah.
Record it.
Yeah.
No, I mean, like,
What's your ethnicity?
Oasis
Not Asian.
Says here, Oasis 5'6.5". He's a tiny dude, and Jai White's like somewhere over 6 feet tall.
Well, they're all, I mean, I don't know. Another interesting thing about it was that, you know, they all were. This was very, you know, as very multicultural, I guess, as you will. Like you know, like there was a like, you know,
It was mostly shot in Indonesia. Oh well, not shot, but it took place in Indonesia.
Yeah. I mean, that dude's name also like, you know, Ito's name was Jaka, which was a little on the nose. Like it's like calling the like you know, if Michael Jai White's name was New York. But yeah, like I think that you know, like I agree. It was big people versus little people. They just didn't do a great job. Like in the raid, you know, which I think is the first raid, you know, for just fighting is, in my opinion, the gold standard for this sort of stuff. When Mad Dog and those guys, the brothers, squared off at the end, even though he was a small guy, he had already killed the other main guy and, you know, fucked some dudes up and like seemed like a badass guy. Right, so like it made sense that it took two dudes to take him down. There was also they didn't, for either budgetary or bad writing or whatever else, they didn't have a moment where like Scott Adkins kicked a bunch of other dudes' ass to make it seem like he was like this unstoppable thing. They even had that weird beat where he did beat everybody and then they got up after, you know, just like to like justify like how tough he was, which again was like symptomatic to a lot of the problems with this movie. It was just like kind of all over the place.
He did get hit by a car.
Well, he jumped on a car.
You know what?
Yeah, the car
jump
came
or
out
no
well
jump.
worse.
He got hit by a fucking car.
Yeah, no.
I mean,
it's true. Like, I mean, and they kept saying he was tough, and they kept saying he was bad. But that's an important element if you're going to show these other two guys like not get killed and fucking shoot and fight and martial arts all these other people, and then.
I mean, Johnny Knoxville can get hit by a car. It doesn't really mean that he's a badass.
Right. No, I mean, they did do a good job
jackass.
of showing the difference in strength between individual characters when they were fighting.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas, they'd go for a move and all of a sudden the big guy didn't, he no-sold it.
Yeah.
Just because he had 100 pounds on this
right.
guy.
I mean, it's a funny world we live in where Michael Jai White is acting fucking circles around everybody, right?
Yeah, none of these three guys, that's the thing, that's another thing you got to be aware of, as director, particularly someone like him, is, you got to keep things moving. You got to keep things moving really fast. You don't want to try too hard to make the movie carried by their acting or their camaraderie, because they're three different guys, all of varying levels of skill, acting, native speakers of three different languages. It's not gonna turn out great. Now, I can watch Tony Jaa, in his crazy manic eyeballs, being stoked about cooking.
That's the best scene in the entire movie.
Yeah, that's fantastic. But, them at the very end being like, you get shot next time.
It even had, this very, old school, end of, an A-Team or end of a sitcom. If you're watching as it's, craning up. Ito definitely is on the ground. He definitely does the wave his hand at him, like you guys.
Oh, you guys, you're so crazy. You want me to get shot? Oh my gosh. We have such crazy banter. Oh no.
Yeah, it definitely should have like frozen, and the credits should have like rolled over it.
Burn, burn, burn,
Yeah.
burn, burn, burn.
But to bring it back, like Tony Jaa making them food is like really funny
and weird too, right?
Yeah, like he is like such like crazy like crazy man eyeballs
Yeah,
when
Yoda
he's got like
eyes.
glee in his eyes, like super manic. He's a weird enough dude. Like he left the set of Ong Bak 2 and lived in a mountain for 3 months because he had an emotional breakdown. Like this is a weird fucking dude.
Right.
And it comes through. It comes through. Like Tiger, he seems like a wholesome dude. Iko, he's just a young dude. Tony's fucking insane.
It's worth mentioning, and this might not be the best showcase. I still wasn't blown away by Tiger's mat skills. I guess I wasn't a big fan of Man and Tai Chi.
Boo.
Boo, you didn't like it, or boo to Mars's comment?
Boo to Mars.
Yeah.
And Tai Chi's fucking great.
Yeah.
Can we all agree that his haircut is ultra badass?
Dude. Yeah.
I
for real.
I love Tiger Chen. I think he's one of the better actors out of all these guys too. Like I think he just emotes really well, and shows a lot. Just kind of in his face. I liked him in this a lot.
I like him a lot. I thought he was really kind of forgettable in this, but I largely like him in everything else whenever he shows up. Like I really liked Man of Tai Chi. Like really liked it.
Yeah.
And like I think he has like a really cool presence, but I don't think they leveraged it too well in this. He's just like there's like what would you say about his character in this movie?
He's kind of more of a goofy sidekick in a way.
Yeah, like I do feel like he was like the other friend at the prom, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Tony Jaa definitely took more of the center stage in that duo, I think. So.
Mm-hmm.
Does it just me, or does it seem like he was being kind of a dick, constantly talking in Chinese with the heiress in front of Tony Jaa and not including him in most of the conversation?
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, like that was definitely like him trying.
There's
to
like a
get-
long conversation on a boat when he's talking to the girl and she's talking to him, and they're going back and forth, and then Tony Jaa's just kind of wistfully looking at like the edge of the bank, and he's like, "Yeah, I used to live here, I guess."
Yeah. Well, know what he's thinking? He's like, you can sweet talk her now, but wait till she has my crabgrass soup.
My crabgrass soup.
It's like then she'll be mine.
What about Michael Bisping? I actually didn't know that he's such a prolific actor these days.
Yeah, he's popping up. He's popping up every now and again. Like I think he's got he's a good kind of cinema presence. He's got a good look as a heavy. And honestly, in terms of like MMA converts, he's one of the better ones. He didn't, like that was one of the weirder things about how they decided to do some of the fights in this, is that they sort of treated them as sort of equals in terms of like the moment to moment martial arts, and then every once in a while, like Aries said, like someone would no sell it and remind them, oh, this guy's bigger.
Yeah.
But so much of it was like a real honest tit for tat with someone like Tiger Chen. And he acquitted himself well, but there was still a pretty big gap there.
He's no Quentin Rampage Jackson.
No, he's no Randy Couture.
Yeah.
Toll Road, I think that's what he's called.
Man, Randy.
Yeah.
Randy's weird
terrible.
these days, yeah.
Randy's fucking awful. He was in there's some like random Michael Jai White movie on Netflix, and he's the main bad guy in it. He's just, he's bad.
I saw him recently. I War Dogs or something, like in a I didn't watch the whole thing, but it was like a World War II movie with him and
Lord.
Dolph Lundgren in it, and he got second billing and then didn't make it out of the foxhole.
I'm looking at Bisping's filmography, and I didn't realize that he was in Twin Peaks: The Return.
Yeah, I saw that too.
What?
That's interesting.
Where the fuck was he in that?
He
played
dwarf.
guard.
Guard.
He was the modern dwarf.
Although he
Good
wasn't.
job, guard.
He was in Triple X: Return of Xander Cage.
Malcolm Bluesbone.
He was also in.
I forgot about him in Den of Thieves.
Den of Thieves. Yeah.
Yeah. We're big fans of Den of Thieves, and
I want to see that real bad.
I'm not a fan of Triple X2, but
No, I've never seen any of those.
It's really fucking dopey.
That was Triple X 3 though. Triple X 2 had Ice Cube.
Yeah, I was right.
Oh,
yeah, the Return of
sorry,
Xander.
Raven
Yeah.
Raven Shadow is a connoisseur
Yeah.
I know.
of Triple X films.
with an emphasis
put me
on
on the
with an
spot.
emphasis on the sewer. But
Hey, Mars, Mr. Fast and Furious, Triple X is too lowbrow for you?
Yes.
Oh, jeez.
If you've seen them all, dudes, back me up here.
Dudes,
my fellow cultists, like, work with me here. Like fucking Triple X can't carry fucking Fast and Furious' Six's bags into the building. Come on, right, guys?
I'm not the
I've never
Guys?
seen a Triple X movie, so.
See, because you're
I
a
only-
fucking man of wealth and taste.
I saw the first Triple X film, and that was enough for me.
You saw because Ozzy Argento was in it.
You saw it because you thought you were going to get penetration. That's what you were there for.
Although I do have to say though, when I do a photo, it might have been at your brother's wedding, going to it, where the movie theater near the church had on one side of the screen of the sign, Triple X, and the other one was Gold Member because it was Austin Powers, and that was I have that photo.
Nice.
It's a memory.
Is it in your wallet?
Yeah, it's a wonderful memory.
Not my new one.
Yeah, you got a new wallet, Jakey.
Yeah.
Oh.
Right.
Is it industrial strength?
No, it's very streamlined. It's
Military?
leather. No, but it can block. It can block those rays they try to get.
What?
The RF.
The devil rays?
Yeah. The
manta rays?
It blocks. Yeah. No, I ain't going out like Steve Irwin. I'll tell you that much.
My wallet.
Open the fucking wallet. Give it a fucking wallaby.
It's time for wildebeest.
Nah, it's the RIFD blocking the electromagnetic rays where they go and they steal your identity.
There was a cute girl selling you this wallet, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Or gave it to me as a gift.
Yeah.
Whichever comes first.
Did they as you opened it, were they like, this like will block out the ultraviolet rays and stuff like that? And then what fucking happened is somebody thought they bought you sunglasses, and then when it got open, they're like, yeah, it'll block out the ultraviolet rays, and yeah, your wallet.
Yeah,
It's gluten free.
Very nice, yeah.
Is it
vegan safe?
Naturally sourced.
Is it vegan, Jakey?
Ooh. I don't know. Is that for real leather, Raven Shadow?
Yeah, it's from bank to table. It's got everything.
Now, Jake,
Yeah.
how would you like chart your disappointment in the combat in this film, with how disappointed by the people whose job it was to sit people at that burger place's abilities to sit all the people in the
man.
front of the restaurant?
Yeah, for real. It's about equal. It's
Okay.
about equal because I expect people who are hungry and needing food to be seated, and I expect these guys. I expect Eco to put something sharp into someone's neck.
Yeah, Eco would have gave those guys burgers, beyond a shadow of a doubt.
Exactly.
Right. I'm with
Exactly.
you.
With a knife through the top.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the knife through the burger and then through your mouth, like "Happy birthday" to me.
Oh man, that's the hottest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Is that what I'm thinking of? The one with the guy's got like the shish kebab through his mouth?
Yep, that's the one. Yep.
Look at me.
Yeah.
Look at me. Guy who knows movies.
Yeah, he's so fucking smart and handsome.
Watch out, ladies.
Yeah.
My $9.99 love buffet.
Yeah, I'll have you know too. Like though my heart is normally conflicted, right? Coop with that fucking big mangy haircut, like it's definitely like off the reservation. So you get all my attention now, my friend.
CDR's not back on.
No, CDR is forever will be my boo. He'll be my Canadian tenderoni forever.
Canadian tenderoni.
The fuck is a tenderoni?
Yeah, I don't even know what that means.
You are my friend. You're a tenderoni.
You're a tenderoni. It's like a
It's
Bobby
like-
Brown song.
Oh, it's not those Chef Boyardee tenderoni.
I mean, if we're talking, it would be a Michael Bublé song.
Raven Shadow reminded me of the tenderonis.
Ooh.
But like, yeah, I don't know. Like that. It's like I picture it being like a very
Yeah, it's a
lovable,
Chef Boyardee.
like a very lovable pierogi. Like I bang that pierogi.
Chef Boyardee. What the fuck is his name?
Come on, Ship Boy ID, dude. It's
Yeah,
fucking,
wasn't that what it was? Or am I thinking of something else?
What?
What's a tenderoni though?
I don't know, but I saw like Ecto Cooler and what the fuck was that
Ecto
image?
Cooler is good.
It's a testament that Johnny realizes that we don't really pay attention. He can sell us any old shit.
Yeah.
He's just looking at, he's fucking looking at like like a bunch of mod knot, and he's like, yes, obviously tenderoni for Chef Boyardee.
Yeah.
There's Van Camp's tenderoni cooks in 7 minutes.
You should watch
Chef BID.
No. good value tenderonis.
Yeah.
You should. It's like that's what I think it's a Bobby Brown song.
Gotta piss on you. That's somebody else. That's
No,
R.
that's
Kelly.
R. Kelly.
No, that's-
Wow, that's racist.
The dude fucking did it, right? I mean,
No, but I mean the fact that you just thought that two,
No.
like two different eras that did two
But
different things.
they're both R&B singers.
Nope. Well,
Let's be real. They both probably pissed on people.
I mean, like, you smoke that much fucking crack, someone's
Yeah.
getting peed on.
Yeah. You know Bobby pissed on Whitney.
You probably pissed on someone out of that fucking screen.
Yeah, and I was only taking Vicodin.
You know Bobby pissed on
you're
Whitney.
on-
We all know
You're
that.
on vacation?
Yeah.
We don't know that. That was not in that show.
Yeah, we don't know that.
Yeah.
What's with you guys bringing up this shit screen? Are you trying to get endorsements or something?
Wait, is there money in that?
There might be.
It might be.
Shit screen.
Some whack job will create it. You know it'll happen.
I think Rave Chat already has.
No, listen.
Did you get your new phone, by the way?
Holy shit.
Oh god.
I know it's a
yes or a
weird,
no?
weird time to ask, but did you,
He's been itching to talk about it because I see him keep on like.
Oh, he does.
Is it this new phone?
Oh,
wow. Look at you.
all right, we'll talk about that later.
You don't even
Yeah.
fucking know. You got phones over there in Canada, CDI? What do you...
No,
you
they
do,
use
right?
two
No
cans
phones,
and a
no phones.
string.
No, it's exciting. I'll
You got phones.
You gonna
up
call
there.
him on your new phone?
I'm gonna call you later on.
Call him right now. I bet you can't.
I have,
Hey,
I have all my
hey, how do I
contacts in.
sound, CDI? How do I sound?
Great. You sound really good.
CDI. CDI.
Dr. K.
Oh man.
He spells it CDAH.
the CDI.
CDI.
Hey, you got 4 R's.
Yeah, I'm really. It's really hot in the studio right now. Is all I know.
I didn't even turn the heat on tonight.
Yeah, I don't know.
You have a sweater on.
Well, that's
You
because
do.
I fucking.
Ooh, look at that! It's got your varsity.
Hey, yeah.
Oh,
I am fucking
Letterman.
Letterman over here.
Yeah,
Oh, no, he's-
Dave,
he's
I got
dating
my,
a Letterman.
I got my own.
Dynamo Letterman.
That's fine. I'll fucking interview some people.
Richie Cunningham up in here.
Right, it's fine. Whatever. I'll tell the
Okay,
Cult of
Potsy.
Muscle guys what I told the Cromcast guys.
What'd you tell him?
I love you. I want
you
you
know,
inside me.
Well, I already said that. That my it's just my pop songs and my D&D is the same. It's only critical hits.
Crickets.
No.
Wait,
Slower song.
I have your next hit song, Mars.
What is it?
I never realized how much John Malkovich. Are you taking a dump?
Worked out real well last time, Johnny. That's good. We don't have any special events coming up next couple of days, right? It's not episode 350 or doing a live show in front of people. Yeah, good idea. Play it again. Play it again. See how that works.
Yeah, good.
It's good.
Good time, Brody.
Well, it's been a while since CDR's heard.
I wasn't taking a dump.
Oh, I gotta hear this excuse. What were you doing?
I don't even remember. I just know I wasn't.
Skipping rocks.
If I was like, I've done whole fucking Talk Without Rhythms on the can, so it's not unrealistic. if El Goro had asked, I would have told him, but like, I hope nobody.
MZ's gonna cry.
I hope nobody good is listening.
He's gonna die again.
He is hoping.
I'm keeping my hands down, man.
What? You are so out of shape that you have to be conscious of arm placement when you're laughing.
I'm keeping my hands down. Good. Perfect.
That's all right, Johnny. I'll get revenge.
We'll tell the paramedics that.
goes-
Don't worry, he has pants down. Hands down.
You're gonna shit on your house.
Shit in my house.
Yeah. Embarrass me in front of my boyfriends.
Nice episode.
Yeah.
Shocking audiences everywhere.
I had to play the shot.
Come on, this is 350 though. You gotta finally admit that.
I would tell you if I was. Like I talk about shitting
on,
my
you
pants
were.
all
You
the
were.
time. I wasn't. Like it's so funny.
I don't know what
Well, you
could
know
make
what?
that noise.
You know what? Then if you weren't on the toilet, then you were shitting in a bucket or something. All right. You know what? We've determined that you weren't on the toilet, but you were definitely shitting.
Shitting in a bucket.
I was
You were
using
probably
the shit
shitting in a
screen.
bucket.
The shit screen.
Prototype shit screen. No, listen. And I apologize. You know what? This is a good this is a good chance. I apologize for having such a frail ego that I let you guys hurt my feelings and left the show that day. You know, and this is where you apologize for trying to get over on somebody much better, more talented than you guys. While he's not there.
I'll apologize as soon as I'm done
Like
laughing.
200 episodes ago.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, this is like 7 years ago.
Yeah.
You brought it up. I was looking for the right. I was buying my time. Jakey, I'm an easy lover. I'll wait.
You're a tenderoni lover.
Yeah, no, I do. I love that Canadian tenderoni up there.
Funny.
Tenderoni.
Yeah.
That makes me laugh.
Straight from Vancouver, British tenderonia.
Jesus.
Wow, you're gonna die. It's gonna be fucking great.
Tenderoni.
How about that?
Michael Ravenshadow, like I have to give credit where credit is due. He said it like 75 episodes ago.
Oh, let me look it up about Urban Dictionary.
Oh no.
It's a fine young thing. Also, a pretty young thing.
PYT.
Here, let me use it in a sentence. Tenderoni, you've got to be. Sugar honey, come fly with me.
That's the fucking Bobby Brown song.
Is that what you said, Johnny?
It's
Is that it? Were you quoting Crazy Town?
It's like a Mark Rap song.
Yeah.
It says Michael Jackson PYT, pretty young thing.
Pretty young thing, yeah.
Yeah.
There's
My
also a
tenderoni,
great.
my tenderoni, be
yeah.
my tenderoni, sugar baby. That's
Oh,
how the song goes.
There's another definition. Moist, savory chicken encrusted in greasy brown bread crumble.
That sounds more accurate.
Elegantly combined with tubular-shaped noodles marinated in creamy, buttery cheese sauce. Now that's what I thought tenderoni was.
I'm so fucking hungry right now. Can we get that here?
I thought you were going to say you're so hard.
I am. We'll get a little.
That makes me want to
6.5 a dozen.
There is some movement. Can we get that? Like fucking nub, hub, whatever the fuck. Nine
Nub hub.
That's very modest of
Nub
you to
hub.
call it nub nub.
Well,
Yeah.
Good work, Ewok.
That makes me want to shit in a bucket.
What? Oh.
It's butt chicken good.
So the sentence that they use for that definition, dang, those are some nice chicken McNuggets you have right there. Let's mix them with my Kraft macaroni and cheese and make the ultimate tenderoni.
That sounds fucking delicious.
Let's make that happen right now. What it's like. Do they have that at the Bull Mansion, you think? Delicious tenderoni.
Oh, definition number 4. We can keep going.
Wow.
Shit.
A boyfriend/girlfriend, boo, etc. Like a rice-a-roni, only cute and snuggly.
See, that's
Wait,
the
like
one
a
for
rice or
CDI.
Yeah, I'll be a tenderoni.
I don't even understand that one.
And here's
What's
a,
a rice?
here's used in a. Oh, you don't know rice-a-roni?
What's a rice runny?
It's the San
San
Francisco,
Francisco treat,
No,
dude.
I know that.
Oh, I know that. I know that.
Where are you from?
I thought it was some sort of euphemism for something. I don't know.
Euphemism.
Euphemism.
What are the euthisms?
Euthanisms.
Is that when your dog is just not going to get better? And
My favorite Megadeth album was
Yeah,
euthanisms.
Oh, man. I think you're fucking brain shit in a bucket.
Man, this is what happens when we have the Cult of Muscle on. We don't do this often enough.
Where's fucking seaweed mommy?
Here's that version of tenderoni in a sentence. I walked over to him slowly, said, I know you don't know me, but this might be my only shot at a tenderoni.
I'm going to use that line one of these days.
Tell my
I'll
parents,
use
Matt.
it Friday night.
Oh yeah. Make sure we all know so we can watch you get slapped.
To Kyle, maybe.
Yeah.
We could go on. There's a bunch
Yeah,
more, but
stay away when you get
I'll-
slapped because I feel like fucking applesauce is going to fly out or something.
Applesauce?
Yeah, he's not full of normal stuff. He's full of weird stuff like Stretch Armstrong
But
was. I know.
not applesauce. I don't think
I'm
he's
not
had
sure
an
what
apple
it
in
is.
years.
I might be full of weird stuff, but at least I'm full.
Oh, we were
Solid comeback.
Yeah,
we were discussing a movie, right?
we were.
I forgot what
I
happened.
thought we were. What the hell happened?
We weren't worried that you were full. That
Your
shirt.
store
You
called.
played that goddamn
shirt-
dynamo shitting in a bucket.
That shirt says.
That's what happened.
That shirt on you says pieces.
Oh man. A tenderoni is a young tender woman that has never been done. R. Kelly got caught up with a tenderoni. Rebecca R. Kelly.
Back to the wow.
Or tenderoni is a hockey player whose job is to prevent the opposing team from scoring, but because of his sweet and thoughtful style and nice bum, gets to score himself.
All right, you know what? You know what?
That's a fucking movie.
This
dude.
is getting out of hand. That's a bunch of bullshit.
That's your BJ's
No,
right there, Jakey.
Yeah,
That's a
honor off the ice.
That's
You
a
know
lady
what?
living.
Now I think you're just making shit up.
Yeah, no, that's more of a tender goalie.
I just want Jake to know that that's where you made Monster Zero draw the line. After 350 episodes, he's like, that hockey thing was fucking ludicrous. Ludicrousy.
By the way, do you know the Asians invented snowboarding? The Hong Kong.
Yeah.
They did that. That's perfectly reasonable. Why would it be in a movie they didn't invent the Hong Kong?
Yeah.
A husband-wife / partner friend that tends to the fire in the fireplace to keep it burning. Can you throw a log on the fire, tenderoni, and start it to die down?
Wait, the husband's wife's neighbor's sister?
He's so offended. So Monster Zero.
Yeah.
If you were standing right outside of a prison with a fistful of 50s and a bouquet of dildos, and a tenderoni came out, what would you say your odds were?
Same as usual, slim to none.
Right.
All right, so another way of seeing so fire in also means when you mess around with some random wombat, the next thing you know, your guys up in are preferably unprotected. So that's preferable.
Wait, what?
If the guy's up in your wombat.
In my wombat?
Yeah,
Or
your
somebody-
wombat, yeah.
Wait, where's the wombat?
I mean, it's not my wombat, so it's got to be your wombat.
Well, yeah, no, you don't need to use those fucking things. That's fine.
I could be standing outside a woman's prison in a fistful of 50s and a bouquet of dildos, and no woman would come near me. I said that how long ago, and it still holds true today.
It's never gonna change.
No, and the meaning for it is just going to be stronger
Truer.
and
You could do
stronger
that.
the older I get.
You could do that at a sex toy party, and the same result.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
Who's going to invite Monster Zero to a sex toy party?
I don't know.
Who's going to be like, you know what's
I'll be
really
parking
going to
the
move
cars.
these pocket pussies? Let's get Monster Zero.
Oh, man.
Let's get this guy to fucking sponsor our fleshlights.
Can you picture me wearing one of those?
No.
With your fucking ass flaps.
We have to.
You know, I'd be sitting there like,
Oh, Jesus.
First of all, you put it
He's
on and it just fucking
demonstrating.
fall off.
Yeah, it just fall off.
Yeah.
Well, actually, no, you got to do it like that.
You put his balls around
You
it.
just dump juice on your fucking crotch, you
On
dummy.
my crotch.
You dummy.
Took a cap off the fucking Gatorade
Wow.
bottle.
Yeah, it's empty. There's nothing in it.
Yeah, not anymore. It's like
Yeah, it's
fucking
on your
Rufus and
crotch.
Ronaldo.
What is even going on?
We had a movie to review, didn't we?
Q Buster.
Don't cue him yet. I have some important
You think,
questions for.
All right,
you know,
Mars.
Do you
ask-
think Tony Jaa
Yeah.
ever had to shit in a bucket?
Why? I don't know.
All right, so the Alaska pipeline is when one person shits a nice long turd, freezes it, then uses it to fuck another person, either in the pussy or in the ass. That's the Alaska pipeline.
Either one?
Yeah.
Well, you know. They haven't come up with another word.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I have a really good idea, guys.
Does it have to do with this guy?
Northern
Alaska pipeline?
Exposure.
No, it doesn't. But what if I join your podcast and you rebrand it? We rebrand it, the Finger Cuffs podcast.
The finger cuffs.
Yeah.
The $9.99 love buffet.
Yeah, we could
And it's a fucking bargain at that.
Jeez.
Like I
pulled
honestly,
that Alaska pipeline out of the freezer and fucked me with it. That's how you use the sentence.
what? Not that I'm disappointed, but I feel like there aren't a lot of ways that sentence could have gone with the description.
Missy's lesbian girlfriend lost their strap-on, so they had no choice but to do the Alaska pipeline. But Missy didn't like the mess when it thawed.
See, that's very unrealistic
Good
because I
place
feel
right
like
now.
some preparation needs to go into the Alaskan pipeline. You can't just know Like, because then
Yeah,
you could,
you gotta-
And
Yeah.
so
then you
I
could
mean,
just
if you
go
want
get another strap on, right? Like,
and it can't be
Right.
smooth. I mean, if you want to rip for her pleasure, you got to eat a lot of corn. I would imagine.
How did we get here?
Episode
Okay, I'm
350, still
sorry. I
on,
apologize.
still on
This is my
Facebook.
fault.
No, more.
one more.
It's my fault.
One more.
Now, do you put a condom on it or do you bareback? And why poop?
Because that's
You gonna do urine?
Yeah,
Yeah, urine doesn't
What do you
freeze.
do? Freeze a urine icicle and use that?
No, but come over my house. I'll make some lemonade.
Hold on. Do they have stir the sauce?
Oh yeah, I'll do that. I've done that.
Yeah, I don't want to know what that is.
There's no stir the sauce.
Aw,
But
it should be. You should add it, Jakey.
Throw a
sorry.
frozen linguine in your dirt hole.
Dirt hole.
That's a dirt hole's on there.
Dirt hole.
That's
Jesus.
a bad word.
What is this? 2002?
I didn't know that dirt hole had an expiration date. Like, man.
Some do. You'd
remember-
be surprised.
Dudes, remember 2002
Alright,
where
alright.
everybody was saying dirt hole?
So boombaleo. It's not quite bombaleo, but it's
Close.
boombaleo. It's something that turns you on, but not enough to make you. Sorry.
Let's make you finish the
All right,
scene.
all right. I'll get there.
Wait, it's called the Boobaleo?
This is gonna
Michael
completely
Bublé?
recontextualize like 350 episodes. All right. Bombaleo is something that turns you on, but not enough to make you want to have sex. When this happens, you are obligated to yell it out.
Oh, is that Boomba?
Oh my God, that is
A
accurate.
pretty girl hugs you tightly with lots of boom action. Bombaleo.
It's Boombaleo. That's what. That's a different.
No, we've rechristened as Bombaleo. That's what
Yeah.
Bombaleo.
It's an extra O in there. Boom baleo.
Yeah, that's what you yell when you're hot, but not enough to have
It
sex.
makes sense now, Raven Shadow. Now I know why you say it.
Yeah, Bombaleo.
Something that turns you on, but not enough to make you want to have sex. And then when it happens, you're obligated to yell it out.
Well,
That's right.
Yeah, it's like
You get turned on a lot then.
Yeah, I'm fucking breezy out. I'm gonna go for a cigarette right now.
You are that, like, I don't want to bring it up again, but like the amount of like fucking horny that you are is like intimidating.
It's intimidating.
It's hot. It's hot.
Like
It's
I imagine you being.
It is hot.
I imagine you like.
You talking about
wanting
Alaska
to-
Pipeline
Yeah,
again?
like I imagine like you like fucking chasing down like gazelle in the wild. Like
It's so weird.
it's
Yeah.
like fucking pouncing
Gazelle.
on them and like it's not.
Oh
good.
yeah, I'm in the woods. Not man, too many ticks.
Like you're some sort of weird sex panther.
Really?
I am
You're
a
gonna throw
panther.
stones at him?
I
I'm picturing you setting up traps in the mall to catch women because you're too fucking lazy to chase them.
I don't have to listen. Be nice to me. I'm 3/4 dead. I'm old, sad, sleeping in the car. It's not good.
Oh, was there something you wanted to ask them, Mars?
I was gonna see
Oh,
if
yeah.
they would run a train on me, but either way.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Chicka, 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 chicka.
Bombaleo.
No, I mean I'm a normal man, but like I think Raven Shadow's taking out a whole new door.
I'm trying. Yeah, a couple nights. No, man, I feel since the new continuity, I feel like I'm fucking
New continuity.
Yeah, the reboot. I'm fucking 21.
Was marriage
again.
a dry spell? Is that what the problem was?
No, but it's just it was. I mean,
Evil Corner reminded that you humped the table here.
Yeah. Evil Corner also says that was my uncle's name for women and chicken. Tenderoni.
Tenderoni?
Yeah.
Dirt hole.
Which coincidentally in Alabama is the same thing.
what's dirt hole?
Dirt hole.
Dirt hole.
Dirt hole. You're on the air.
We established you can say it.
Holy shit.
Dirt hole 2020.
Holy shit. My dirt hole hurts after that nasty taco dinner last night.
Jesus.
Wow.
All right. Well, let's get back to this fucking film.
Man, my dirt hole is itching like a bastard. Those jalapenos went right through me like a Drano.
Like a Drano.
Have you ever thought about doing dramatic readings?
The problem is he's not reading; he's just speaking.
I am reading it. It's right here.
I'll read it.
Dirt holes.
What the fuck was that?
Don't you mean Bombaleo?
Dunkin' Dirt Holes.
Dunkin' Dirt Holes. All right.
Myrtle the dirt hole.
What the fuck happened? We went from talking to the
It's a
Cromcast.
seaweed baby all over again.
Yeah.
Cromcast, pick up.
It's
Duncan
why
Campbell.
are you laughing at that?
I don't know.
It's
Hands down.
I'm working on it.
man, you are out of shape. It's me.
Hands down.
I don't know if 2019 continuity mods can do Ronald Schwarzenegger anymore.
All right. Well, let's finish up this review.
Talk.
So, was there anything else we wanted to mention about this film before we head to a verdict?
Tony Jaa had a nice dirt hole.
I love that scene where Tony Jaa goes in the freezer and gets out the Alaskan
Yes.
pipeline.
And then he's shit in a bucket.
He's shit in a bucket.
Tony Jaa's like, talk. You're my tenderoni.
Raven Shadow, 2 poops in a bucket. Suck it.
Do you guys think that Tiger was Tony Jaa's tenderoni?
Yeah, no doubt.
On those,
I can't wait for the sequel to The Night Comes For Us when Eco stabs someone in the face with a Alaska pipeline.
Right through his cheek.
Yeah.
Wow.
that's double because like, not only does it hurt, not only does it taste bad, like you'll probably get some sort of bad like dysentery or something from swallowing all that poop. So it's not.
Yeah, it really kind of cast the that fight scene in the mud pit at the beginning of the raid too.
Right.
It was just an endless sea of
Right.
discarded Alaskan pipeline.
They can redub it the Jakarta pipeline.
There you go.
Again, it doesn't get cold like that there, so that's just all mud.
The Gymkhana.
Yeah, it's shit.
The Gymkhana pipeline.
The Gymkhana pipeline.
That's when it's just wrapped in a leotard.
Ooh.
I thought you were gonna say that's when he was the president in 1979.
Oh yeah, that's it. Yeah.
All right, let's fucking verdict.
Trick or treat, baby. I wonder if people would say you're a trick or a treat.
Trick or treat, motherfucker.
All right, it is finally verdict time.
Finally.
So we're gonna let you know whether we thought this flick was a trick or a treat, and any final thoughts. Raven Shadow.
Yeah, man. No, I mean, once again, I enjoyed the Boone program because of
The Boone
the
program.
movie. Once again, low expectations. You
What's
get
a
high-
Boone program?
Nah, Boone the Bounty Hunter. It was a
Oh,
a
right,
movie
right,
that-
right.
You know, that was something that I had really no expectations for and was entertained. With this, I definitely had higher expectations, but I was still entertained. And I mean, once again, if this was something that I came home, it was on Cinemax or HBO back in the day, I would watch it when it's on, and it's still fucking better than most shit out there.
Also, Tony Jaa would have time traveled.
That's true. Time traveling Ja.
So, verdict.
Ja Al Ghul.
That's your Rastafarian coming out.
Yeah, Bumbleclot and the Bambaleo.
Is that extra horny?
I am so aroused right now, Johnny.
So, verdict.
Yeah, it's treatment.
All right. Aries.
Yeah, this movie isn't breaking any ground, but
It's not breaking any Alaskan pipelines either.
It's not breaking any 2 electric boogaloos.
trying to keep it clean here.
Not Breaking Bad.
Yeah, it's not breaking any ground, but it's not disappointing in any way. Just a solid movie, good hour-and-a-half watch. This movie's a treat.
All right, MZ.
Yeah, I think when you have a cast like this, you should be getting something a little better than what we got. I think that even if you're in it just for the fight scenes, you're still gonna walk away somewhat disappointed. This is a rather pedestrian effort, and I think this could have been so much better than what we ended up getting. This is not very good. I wish it was better. I think, like I said, I was thinking that maybe I don't know if these guys are fighters that turned actors or actors that just happen to be fighters. And
They're
I
all
think
actors. They're all actors. They are.
Well,
actors.
Michael Bisping
I mean,
was
they're
a
all-
fighter first, but yeah.
True.
Oh no.
sure.
I mean,
but I
I
mean,
thought he meant the
well, I
leads.
mean, when these guys take on a role, when they take on a film, do they concentrate more on the fighting, or do they concentrate? I mean, are they getting the role because they're exceptional martial arts skills, or because of their acting skills? And their fighting skills I think will always outweigh their acting skills. But I think that was kind of underplayed here, and I really wanted a lot more than what we got. So I walked away disappointed, and I thought for sure I was going to get crucified for saying this, but yeah, I think this is a trick.
It's kind of racist, but you know.
Mars.
I thought this was a treat. I mean, while my knowledge does not rival my beloved cult leaders, this is my jam. This is the type of stuff that I kind of revel in. When I'm scanning through Netflix, like this, something like this is what I'm looking for. Like with Michael Jai White movie I haven't seen. Scott Adkins is gonna crawl in the bed with me, and he's gonna be my tenderoni.
Ryan Gosling's gonna get pretty pissed.
He's not. He understands. He understands. It's like my Joker and Batman fantasy. But I don't even remember, what are we talking about?
Trick or Treat.
The film Trick, the one with Gene Simmons, or the one with the little.
Jesus Christ!
Have you guys?
You're a fucking tenderoni.
Have you guys ever had Captain Morgan Cannon Blast?
You should drink every episode.
I'm
You're
going
much
back
nicer.
Yeah, I'm gonna back. I love you guys.
Baja Blast. Yeah.
I'm probably embarrassing myself, but it's all right. Probably gonna do an Alaskan pipeline like that. treat.
To yourself?
Yeah.
2 shits in a
So
bucket.
you're just gonna poop it out and suck it back in, basically.
So there was
is that considered like? No, never mind.
Think about who you're asking.
Well, when
first.
Raven Shadow questions it, that means definitely don't say it.
So there was a Wednesday night at the and you can ask Ethan Glufabitz about this when he shows up on because I suspect he will show up at a show.
Let's call him up.
He's at that award show right now. He probably accepted our award for us.
Did we win?
I don't know. I haven't heard anything. Ted was in charge of letting me know and getting it. So, but there was one day that there was all of a sudden a bunch of fucking sirens outside of the Lucky Dog. Like there was a terrorist event going on, and Eric ran outside to see what's going on, and a guy in the upstairs apartment had his ass hanging out the window, and he was jamming himself with a dildo, yelling, "I'm fucking me, I'm fucking me."
Wow.
I was so upset I called in that day.
What a beautiful sentiment to have our episode 350.
Yeah.
Did I say treat? Yeah, guess what?
No.
Treat.
All right. Jakey.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, I think I give this a type of treat. You look at it kind of for what it is, and it's an American low budget action movie starring 3, I don't know, just I'll call them legends for the sake of the point. So there's always going to be a little bit lost in translation. It's always not going to live up to the hype, but it's fun enough, and I like evil bearded Adkins as a bad guy. He's fun. I like it when he plays those kind of roles, and Michael Jai White's pretty charismatic in it, and it's just fun enough and goofy enough and worth a watch if you're a fan of these people. If not, it's less of a recommendation. But somebody gets blown up with a rocket launcher or a grenade launcher. It's pretty cool.
All right, how about you, CDR?
I feel like we're all kind of riding the line. So whether it's trick or treat, it's kind of we're all seemingly around the same spot. But what it comes down to for me is weighing my own expectations for the talent on board and how it all panned out. And it kind of panned out pretty middle of the road. Like, I'm not going to remember watching this movie a week from now. So for that reason, it's trick. Tepid trick. It's not terrible. It's watchable.
Yeah.
A tepid trick is actually terrible. You mean barely a trick.
Sure. I don't know.
Don't tell him how to judge the movies. Let him judge on his own.
Whatever. When I Alaskan pipeline him later.
Chris doesn't have to explain himself to you.
Yeah, click.
Go fuck yourself.
Listen, if I give...
I'm going to build a wall.
Here's what's going to happen. I'm going to give Chris an
Canada and,
Alaskan pipeline, and Jake's going to film it. We're going to call the movie International Incident.
International accident.
Wow.
All right. For me, yeah, I'm gonna say this was a fine action movie. Like actually, way better than a lot of the other ones that we've seen over the years. But yeah, once again, go back to that the expectation, and I did expect a little bit more out of this. And we have recent great action movies. The Night Comes for Us, which obviously has been mentioned a couple times. That one was fucking outstanding. And even if it was like 50% of that, it would have been, a little higher. But, there's some great actors in this, some great fight scenes, way better than the typical stuff that you get. But with the star power in this, I definitely would have expected a little bit more. And like I think CDR said, there's no real memorable scenes to speak of, or I should say memorable fights. The grenade launcher scene was memorable, but there was no major like great set pieces that were like, oh shit, that fight was awesome. It just was all just sort of like, in a warehouse or wherever. It just nothing stood out about it, and they were fine. But I think that it is a little bit of a letdown given the talent involved. So yeah, I will say tepid treat, because I did for the most part enjoy it. But the story kind of dragged it down a little bit, and I would have been fine with 90 minutes of these guys all just fighting for 90 minutes straight. So, but yeah, it's still fun. It's better than a lot of the other action fare out there. But given the talent involved, it probably should have been a little bit better. So, well, there you go. So we're kind of like all mostly in agreement. I think the expectations certainly weighed on this film, but it still is a fun action flick. So, use your judgment and check it out. So, let's see. Well, it's a little past midnight here. Jake, is it your bedtime?
It's my bedtime. Yeah.
I can't wait.
It's my bedtime.
Oh, you're gonna go to bed?
Oh,
Jakey?
It's gonna be nice.
So I guess we'll say goodbye to the Cult of Muscle guys.
No.
Let them get to bed. I know CDR's in a different time zone, so he's still. CDR, what do you got? You got some games to play tonight? You got some books to read? Some movies to watch?
Some cheese to eat.
Oh, no, I gotta be up 4 in the morning.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh.
Okay. Well, we've all gotten we're all party poopers in our old age here.
I actually think I'll end up getting more sleep than Chris will.
What time are you gonna get up?
I'm getting up at 7:45 in the morning.
Wow,
and Chris has got to get up at 4, so yeah, he's probably gonna get less than 7 hours.
That sucks. I was supposed to have tomorrow off, but I have to work because the people who work for me suck MCs.
We're still on the air, right? We're still
Yeah,
doing
yeah,
the show here?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, we're just talking about
bedtimes?
Yeah, we're talking about bedtimes.
350 episodes.
Happy 350, guys.
Yeah, you want a snack?
From Alaskan pipeline to bedtime.
Brush your teeth, CDR. Brush your teeth. Let me sing
Don't
you a
forget
song.
don't forget to floss.
Yeah, don't watch a scary movie. You have
You know,
nightmares.
I fucking miss you guys. So let's at least
See you,
even if we don't do a show, let's Skype or something soon, because I miss you guys. And as far as doing a show, you guys already did part of my dream team up, so I got to get on to sneak the other one in before you just do it.
Yeah, I don't miss Jakey because I talk to him every day.
All day,
I miss
every day.
I miss CDR.
Well, if I leave the chat for an hour, I miss Jake.
But yeah, it was it's obviously awesome to have you guys on, and we appreciate you coming on.
It means a lot. It means a real lot.
Yeah, definitely. And for I don't know, as the milestones pile up, it's whatever. But all we want to do is mostly just hang out with our friends instead of hear people blow
That's
smoke
right.
up our ass. So
right.
That's right.
So we appreciate it. And everyone out there, if you haven't checked out Cult of Muscle, go ahead, look them up on Google.
Yeah, just get 'em.
Mars
Get in
almost
there.
he almost spit out his drink.
More fucking juice in your crotch.
Yeah. Did you spit it? Did you spit it in MZ's crotch?
Oh, shit.
He's making a delicious crotch cocktail.
Yeah.
A crotch.
A crotch tail.
Crotch tail.
Woo,
I think I saw this
every
in
day.
Bebe's Kids.
Here, have a highball.
It ain't time to go.
What's that called on Urban Dictionary?
Oh my God.
All right, these guys need to
I
get
told
to
a
sleep.
lot of people who have never watched this before to watch this weekend.
Don't worry, they fucking stopped.
I'm sorry, Nana.
Sorry, Nana. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll definitely have to do it again sometime soon. CDR, Jakey Poo, we love you guys. Take care.
It was a pleasure.
Hey, love you guys too.
X's and O's.
Bambaleo.
Later.
All right, see you, dudes.
Hey, I found a new music for Frozen Rope. The act of ejaculating off a ski lift onto an unsuspecting passerby.
Oh, my God. What the fuck happened?
I'll tell you what. Fuck those cult of muscle guys.
I don't know, but I
Honestly,
know what
like-
I'm doing when I went over the weekend.
Did I not watch use it?
All right. So first of all, it's summer.
Summer.
Turns me upside down.
Bambaleo.
When I'm on a ski lift, I pee on the ground. I put my poop in the freezer till it's all nice and hard.
Oh, God.
Then I put it in your wombat, baby. Alaskan pipeline custard.
Alaskan pipeline custard?
You're my,
Is that what you said?
Yeah, you're my tenderoni. 350's magic. Come on, it's magic. We're triple threat.
Oh,
Man,
we have voicemail.
Man, your cans are big.
Who's?
Him, yeah, this guy's got to be.
Wait, a beak up now?
Yeah, at least.
Take your
I
shirt
don't know, I
off.
might
Take
be.
your shirt off.
Take your shirt
I'm
off.
not taking my shirt
Take
off.
your fucking shirt off.
It's episode 350.
I'm not taking my
Take your shirt off. Take your shirt off. Show your tits. Show your tits.
Come on, whip them out Wednesday. That's
Yeah. Remember that?
I know 1996 called.
I was dating a girl once, and then she did whip them out Wednesday, and she didn't know that I was like in the car behind the car she was flashing. It's bad times.
I knew a girl the same thing, and I wasn't in the car either. Yeah, a couple of truck drivers drove by. Yeah, that relationship didn't go anywhere.
Yeah. But you bought a truck.
Yeah.
What do you think, MZ's tits?
We want to be seen.
We want to be seen.
Free the baloney.
The baloney grub drops.
Free those 45s. It's free record store day. Let those 45s out.
That's a fucking sexy fucking line. For Record Store Day.
Aries is so mad.
Come on, we've seen the.
You know what the
outline-
best part is? Normally Aries will have a week, but thanks to the fact that like we got to build the sound system from scratch over the next couple days and all this other stuff, me and Aries are gonna be pretty much married. It's not gonna be good.
And
Oh, poor Aries. What is he going to do?
It's not gonna be good.
Oh,
Yeah,
boy.
come see Mars's Black Eyes come Saturday.
Oh,
Come see his
man.
brown eye Saturday night.
Cut his dirt hole. Man, I hope certain people aren't listening. I'm sorry, Grammy.
Grammy is not listening at midnight.
She's listening from heaven. Grammy's listening from heaven. What do you think about my Dead Eyes parody? MZ's boobs. I am gonna drink all the time. I'll be on Trick or Treat Radio forever. This is all I need. This was the fucking recipe for success.
Drinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I love you guys when I'm drunk.
Which is funny because I hate you when you're drunk.
We're gonna cuddle on the way home. We'll be fine.
All right, let's check out some
I've already got it in the freezer. Don't worry about Aries.
I'm gonna run down. I've had to like pee for like 2 hours, so
Me
I'm gonna
too.
run down to the bathroom while we play the
Will you
voicemail.
pee for me?
Have fun.
No.
I'm
So-
sorry if anybody's listening.
So let's go ahead. I'm gonna put while we move around. I'm gonna put the splash screen up and let's hear our first voicemail. This is from Creepy Girl.
Hey, babe.
About Head Hunter. I think that was the name of it. So when I was asking you guys, like, what the hell's going on in this movie? I don't even understand it. I kept falling asleep. It was so freaking boring. I mean, the movie looked really great. The characters were really cool. I mean, all the heads he had on the wall were so cool. But them not showing anything, I mean, I don't care what anyone says, that made the story boring. And I understood what was going on. I understood, his daughter died and he wanted to kill the monster that killed his daughter. And he was working for the guys in the castle and they'd send him a different monster to hunt down every time. I understood all that. But I just felt like almost like what Mars was saying, like there was something more to the story that I felt like maybe I was missing something. Like I didn't understand why the heads were so heavy. He had that one scene where the head was on the stick and he was pulling it up and it was like so heavy. And every time he threw a head down or something, it was like it weighed 100 pounds. And the coolest scene in the whole movie was the spider scene. I hate spiders, but it was just awesome how they did that with the spider. It's like these guys.
Uh-oh. I don't know. We kind of lost audio. I don't know if we're still broadcasting here, MZ. You might want to step up to the mic and try to fill some airtime.
What
daughter being dead, like being killed. I mean, that's what makes a movie. Like when you have to go through the heartache with the person and, seeing what happens, that makes it all the more, more satisfying when, he finally kills the monster. I mean, I didn't even know what happened to this freaking girl, how she died or when she died. I mean, he's talking to her and putting her to bed, and then in the same breath he's saying, and she's dead. And it's like, okay, so you don't have any emotion to feel. Like the more emotional you're about it, the more, like if you saw her dying, then you would have been, it would have been more satisfying when he finally, found the creature that killed her or whatever. But I guess that's all I can say to not spoil it. And then I almost wondered, like, that the creature that he was hunting, I felt like it was more like an alien than a mythical creature. It was just weird. That's it. Love you guys. Bye.
Yeah, well, a lot of it has to do with the budgetary constraints of the film, and that's why you never really saw any battles with the creatures or any monsters or anything like that. And I'm sure that the budgetary constraints had a lot to do with that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I wish we had another hour to debate everything she was saying, because she brought up good points, and I feel I could talk about them. But, we've already spoken about this movie to no end.
Ad nauseum.
Yes.
Well, we probably could have talked about it longer. It just was we had so many people to fit in that we didn't really get a chance to break it down. But I don't get the alien thing now. But
well, I
if
guess
that's what she
the
thought.
creature looked like an alien rather than like a.
That's fantasy shit, man. Right, Mars?
Like your typical fantasy creature. I guess to a certain degree,
Well, I guess
I see her point.
It's because of what happened. You're not seeing the original monster.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, cool. Well, thank you, Creepy Girl. Next, let's hear from our boy, Evil Corny.
Hey, guys, this is Evil Corny. I want to wish you all a happy 350th episode of Trick or Treat Radio. Really been enjoying the show. Thank Slagoff again for introducing me to you all. And I had fun this last year doing Rock and Shock. I can't be up this weekend to see you all perform and to watch Survival of the Film Freaks and everything, but I had a lot of stuff going on. Hopefully I'm able to come up during Rock and Shock this year.
Yeah.
You all have a good one. Evil Corny out. I watched Triple Threat this week. I thought it was okay, but I did overall have fun watching it. So I give it a treat. Evil Corny out. What up, Mars?
There you go, Mars. You got the call out.
Take a look. It's in a book. Reading Rainbow.
So thank you, Corny. And I'm glad this leg off that introduced you to us as well.
Yeah.
And it was awesome hanging out with you, and hopefully we get to do it again. Because this year's Rock and Shock looks like it's shaping up. And we will be there for sure. So looking forward to it, Corny. And, yeah, we wish you could have been there this coming weekend as well. But, it'll be a fun time. We'll record it, and who knows, maybe it's one of those things where we'll put one of them out one day.
You'll be there in spirit.
We have the archives. So now let's hear from our boy, FTM.
What's up, everybody? This is First Time Mike. How's everybody doing?
Good, buddy.
Happy 350, guys. Congratulations on this accomplishment. Just thinking how much time you guys have spent in that studio just going back and forth. I came up with a little something. Here we go. I call it some advice. On a cold April evening, on a train bound for Worcester, I met up with the Deadites. We were all too buzzed to sleep. So I sat right next to Johnny and asked him about the podcast. He took off his headphones and he began to speak. He said, FTM, I've had some life. Out of producing a bunch of podcasts, wrangling a bunch of yahoos by the screens in front of my eyes. Someday, if you want to do a podcast on a laptop or in a studio, for the rest of your veggie pizza, I'll give you some advice. So I handed him the pizza. He took the last 2 slices, opened up his laptop, and the light started to play across his face. And then Aries started yelling at Dynamo, and Raven Shadow started smoking. If you want to know how to do a podcast, you got to rein in the chaos right. You got to know how to stream them, know when to go to commercial, to rein in the conversation while you're kneeling in front of VOD. You don't forget the intros. When Raven Shadow's sitting at the table, there'll be time enough to strap on when the intros are done. Trick or Treat Radio is known for the variety in its podcasts, from the classics of American horror to the latest action from overseas. Because movies can cause some fighting and can go on weird-ass tangents, but when Busta Rhymes comes a-calling, time to say it's a trick or treat. And then we kept on talking until we both got kind of sleepy. He shut off his laptop, closed his eyes, and tried to sleep. And then somewhere in the darkness, Monster Zero started screaming, and everyone turned around to see what was up. I thought of the words that Johnny did speak. You have to have on Reverend Scott and Algoro. Your boys, the Cromcast and the Cult of Muscle. Neon Maniacs is a work of genius. Horror from around the world is kind of sweet. You always talk about wrestling. When Bill and Mr. Chris are sitting at the table, there'll be time enough for Grindhouse when the Wednesday Night Wars are done. You got appearances by the Deadites. And Tiny White is still a ninja. Got reviews from Josh and the Arkham Copter. Got some movies from Blinkbuster Video. Don't forget the great voicemails coming forth from all creation. There'll be time enough for resting when the recording's done. You got the pencil pushing Johnny, the immortal gunslinger Dynamo, the warrior of Nor'eastern's Ares, the architect of disrespect Monster Zero. You don't forget the intros. When Raven Shadow is sitting at the table, there'll be time enough to strap on when the intro's done. Yeah, I kind of based it on the lyrics of the Gambler, and I was going to sing it, but I tried to record it twice and it sounded horrible. So, happy anniversary, guys. You guys are great. Part of my life that makes me smile every week. Knowing that you guys are out there, wishing everybody the best. Happy anniversary to the Deadites. I wish I could be there, but I can't. And all the best to you guys. Have a great show, break a leg, everything. Have a great live show. This is First Time Mike from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, wishing everybody the best. Good night and goodbye.
That's fucking awesome.
That guy's awesome. I love him so much. He makes me so happy.
Thank you, dude.
I want to give First Time Mike a big hug sometime. So hopefully
wrong verb.
Yeah.
Bambaleo.
He'll be known as Hug Time Mike.
I want to give it Arctic Pipeline.
Put the F to the TM.
Alaskan. Oh, is Arctic something different?
Either way, yeah.
The Arkham Pipeline.
I'm on zero.
Look at you.
I'm on zero.
That's pretty close.
It goes down there.
Just take your fucking shirt off, please.
Oh my God. 350. Take your shirt off.
We solely saw the fucking outline of your weird Alf fucking nose
Cock.
brajol.
Yeah, that's weird. I'm not telling you to take your pants off.
That's why I didn't share that on social media, because that would have scared some people.
Yeah.
That's some fucking content.
Yeah. Can you please, for the love of God, take your shirt off?
Come on. Just take your
Yeah,
shirt
Arctic Pipeline.
Come on.
No. No.
Do it.
No.
Come here,
Fuck,
come on.
fuck
You give him $1?
Come on.
Come on, Corny
No.
says it's all set. He's not watching on the projector tonight.
Yeah. No.
Just a flash.
No.
Take those shirt off. Take your shirt off.
We'll go in the closet.
That's what I like.
All
I
right,
like.
we got 2 more voicemail.
Remember that time I wore all your clothes? That was awesome.
Yeah, I remember that.
Even his underwear, folks.
Yeah, I had to burn it. Burned it all.
All right, next, let's hear from our boy, Arkham Josh.
Hey, Trick or Treat Radio guys, Arkham Josh here, calling in. Mainly just to wish you guys a happy 350th episode. You know, everything's been great and entertaining so far, so I hope it keeps on going. I have not had a chance to watch this week's movies. Been pretty busy. I'm going to be busy for the rest of the week, which also means, unfortunately, I am not going to be able to make it to any of your festivities this week.
Jerk.
It's a bummer, but this week is the Ivy Film Festival at Brown, which is one of the biggest and busiest events that I do the AV and projection work for. So it's just not going to happen. It's going to take up my whole week. I'm sorry. Other than that, I did watch last week's movie, and I watched it in time to call in for the show, but I'm pretty sure it just made me dumber, and I totally forgot to call into the show about it. So, yeah, I think that tells you how I felt about Boone the Bounty Hunter. I think it was a bit of a trick, and not a recommend. Other than that, I'm looking forward to catching up with this week's films, but I just wanted to, make sure, since it was a big anniversary show, to call in, say hi, wish you guys a happy 350, and look forward to hearing a lot more. All right. I don't know. I know I've been saying this for a while, but I got to get up there. School year's almost over, so my AV work's going to slow down. That'll clear up a lot of my nights. So, definitely soon, guys. And you all have fun. Bye. Have a great weekend, too. Hope everything goes great with your events. Wish I could be there. All right. Bye, guys.
All right, Josh.
Yeah, wish you were coming, dude.
Yeah, I wish you could be there, but I totally get it. Shit happens. So appreciate the well wishes, though, and we'll definitely have to have you up here soon.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Been too long.
And he wanted to do dudes. He's got a VHS for you, Raven Shadow.
Yeah, I can't wait for that.
Oh, I remember him talking about that.
Yeah, with some dudes on.
Some dudes with talking about
Oh,
dudes.
what's wrong with that?
All
Eric
right.
still has my copy.
I've tried to give you that back to you, and you always say no.
Well,
Was that English?
Yeah, what?
No, I want you to have it.
You're going to take it from
Okay.
someone else.
No, because you have that. and you have
That is like now recorded for posterity. Stop bringing it up.
No, I want you to have it. I want you to have it.
So stop complaining that I have your copy.
Just like you have my Gangrel T-shirt.
Really?
You're out of your mind with that.
You have that. You
I
took
do
it.
not.
Yes, you do.
I do not.
It's a Brew T-shirt.
You know what? What's funny about that? Gangrel was actually in Worcester tonight.
Was he really?
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Because Beyond Wrestling is local indie. They're from Rhode Island, and they run every Wednesday night at the what's the name
White
of that?
Eagle?
Nope.
Electric Haze.
Electric Haze, right down the road from the White Eagle, right on the other side of Kelly Square. And they run every Wednesday night. They have a live show there. They broadcast it live too. It's
Yeah, I heard about that. We also had Captain America himself. Chris Evans was in town on Monday.
Well, who cares? I'm talking
leg
about,
drop
I'm
from
talking
the
about
Evans?
wrestling.
Oh yeah, no one cares about fucking Captain America.
Well, I was talking about Gangrel. I didn't even finish my fucking story.
I'm so.
Well, I care about him in a way we're not going to talk about.
So Gangrel was in Worcester at that show tonight.
That's good.
Let's get him on the air. Let's get him over here.
Gangrel.
Wow.
Give me a shirt. Aries took mine.
All right, we have one more voicemail to wrap it up. Going to hear from Mars's son, the good one, right, Mars?
I'm pretty pissed at one of them right now.
Oh, what?
Alberto's giving me the I gotta work this on those nights. I don't know what's.
Your son can't make it this weekend?
I'm pissed.
Wow.
I'm going back in time and putting on a Jimmy hat.
You can't say that.
What?
Sprinkle hat.
Sorry.
Oh,
You can't say that.
Oh, God.
That's a different thing. Like,
can you say Jimmy Snooker?
No, you can't say his.
Can my favorite
Superfly.
Can my favorite band be Jimmy Eat World?
No.
James Snooker from now on.
James Eat World.
I want chocolate James on my sprinkles.
Chocolate James.
On my ice cream.
Oh, from Good Times?
Damn.
Chocolate James, this bed is on fire with passion and love.
Dynamite.
The neighbors complain about the Florence above.
How about, is it James Hendricks?
But he only comes, oh dynamite.
What about Jimmy Olsen's Blues?
James Olsen.
That's funny. That's in Supergirl. He's a very different fellow. And at one point, he's a very large African American man. And in the first episode, Supergirl goes, "Are you Jimmy Olsen?" And he goes, "No, I'm James Olsen."
Yeah, because he doesn't like that word.
Well, he's a big fellow.
All right, last voicemail from Pabst.
Hey guys, Paps. Just calling in real quick with my thoughts on The Headhunter, which I watched the other night. First off, I just want to say real quick, congrats. 350. That's a milestone of some sort, which is fucking cool. I mean, been doing this longer than most people have been doing a lot of things, so fuck yeah, guys. Keep going. But yeah, so The Headhunter. I fucking loved this movie. This movie was absolutely beautiful. Had just like amazing cinematography. Considering like the budget was so small, I was just like so baffled at how pretty looking this whole movie was. Creature effects in this were top notch. Like personally, I would have loved to have seen more of the creatures and stuff, but I think it was kind of a little bit of a stylistic choice. It was kind of, movie was really about like what you don't see. But I'm sure also, the budget kind of had something to do with it. But man, like the creature designs were so fucking cool. That wall of heads, like, oh my god. Ares in his acting debut was a smashing success. I thought he did a great job. But like what was great about this movie is I love just like the world that this movie kind of like subtly built with just these little things that you kind of pick up on, between that guy's book and the different monsters he's encountered, his like the shit he deals with day to day. Like, it's just I really loved this movie. It was so grimy and gross. I just like it was just fucking amazing. Yeah, like this is the kind of movie that I've wanted to see for so long. Just like a horror fantasy, like all the fucking goblins and shit, and like the trolls, and the fact that like the whole movie is basically carried by that guy. It's like Alexander Ryer. I can't remember his name, but like he just did such a good job. I think there's maybe like a handful of lines throughout the entire movie, and but it's just so effective. I really loved it. Score was great. The ending, when there was a real like tonal shift, I just thought it was fantastic. I would love to see more in like the universe of this movie, like whether it's like a book or a graphic novel, another movie. I just thought it was fucking fantastic and absolute treat. Like maybe like just underneath treat of the highest order. Like I absolutely loved this movie, and I'm looking forward to hearing you guys' thoughts. I don't know if you guys are doing a question, but I have a quick question. What is one of your favorite movies that has like fantasy elements to it? So there it is. Have a great one, guys. And
all right, Paps. Thanks, man, and thanks for the well wishes. And glad you dug it. I would agree with Paps and I think we're pretty much on the on the same page. I think this it gave you a glimpse of one aspect of a much larger world that I would like to see more of. So yeah. So his question was some favorite fantasy movies with fantasy elements.
Do you mean fantasy like?
Not what you think of
No,
when
no,
you
it's not like-
give yourself an Alaskan pipeline and say Bombaleo.
Well, all right, well then pass. No, but like you mean like Lord of the Rings type fantasy?
Yes.
Or like,
Yes.
What do you
Fantasy
think?
film.
What other
else
kind of
do you think?
fantasy?
Well, it's porn fantasy.
I'm not talking Axel Braun shit. What are you talking about?
I don't know, like
Lord of
maybe
the cock rings.
Like the
You know, like could it be like Fantasy Island?
like the masturbation
my
scene
God.
from Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Yes, just like that. Yes.
Will
but-
you shut your dirt hole and answer?
I'll start off. I'll say the Never-Ending Story.
All right.
Who sang the
One of the
Never Ending
best of all
Story
time.
theme?
Huh?
Who sang the Never Ending Story theme?
Lamal.
Sing it.
I'm not Lamal.
Ginger Lamal.
You know, I'm going to go then.
Ginger Lamal.
Mine, it was a movie that was mentioned earlier, and I think we all saw this movie about 1 million times when we were younger, but I fucking loved it. The Beastmaster.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Hawk the Slayer.
Mac and me.
I'm gonna say Legend.
You know what happens when you mix mac and me and chicken tenderoni?
Aries took mine.
So pick another.
You had your
didn't-
shot to go first.
Yeah, you went
motherfucker.
first.
Well,
You didn't
what
know what a fantasy was.
What a fucking
Hey,
asshole.
I fucking do. No, but whatever
Well,
I
he
say
does
is
now.
wrong.
Whatever you say is wrong. He said fantasy elements.
Say Time Bandits.
I was thinking Time Bandits earlier, John. When you said that, we
That's
saw that
science
one-
fiction.
What the fuck?
What about Conan? Dun, 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 dun,
Yeah,
dun,
What about
dun.
Jurassic Park?
Xanadu.
I think it's
The
Xanax.
Apple.
The Apple.
What about
Deathstalker.
Deathstalker?
I didn't see that one.
Probably not. We did do it for the show, though.
Well, which one didn't I see? I didn't see Hawk the Slayer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you lied.
that's the Giants, never
Giants
die.
don't die.
No, I saw that one. It was good.
Yeah. You did
That
not.
was a good one.
So what's yours?
They've all been fucking taken.
All the
fantasy
fantasy
All
movies.
the-
You've never seen another fantasy movie.
Excalibur.
Say it. Well, I was gonna say Time
That's
Bandits.
science fiction.
Say it.
That's science fiction.
It has both aspects.
It had the fucking guy.
Don't
with the
shake your
fucking-
head at me.
I just
It had a minute. Oh, shit! Oh my God!
Oh, he's choking him.
Aries is in a
Aries just gave me a
clothesline.
nice
Aries
hug.
has finally had
Oh,
enough
man.
of your
Wow,
shit.
Aries just loved me.
Mars was doing his fucking best Bret Hart imitation.
That's true.
Pan's Labyrinth.
Thundercats.
Clash of the Titans.
That's a good one. Clash of Titans. Seven Voyages.
Oh yeah,
Sinbad.
yeah. Clash of Titans.
Labyrinth, maybe.
I was thinking Labyrinth too.
Sinbad and I had
Willow.
a
Pick one.
Willow.
Peck.
Come
Willow.
on.
No, we didn't. Will didn't have action figures.
Yeah, it
did.
Kroll.
Never-Ending Story 2. Never-Ending Story 3.
Highlander. Jason and the Argonauts.
Oh,
I like
fuck.
that.
Time Machine.
No.
That's science
Are you
fiction.
trying to drag this out for time? What the
Trying to
fuck?
pick- No, 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 I want to pick a good one.
Princess Bride.
Yeah.
All right, good.
Princess
Now
Bride.
let's continue.
Is that yours?
Yes.
God damn it.
Yes.
House.
What about Red Sonja?
Ooh.
Yeah. There hasn't been a lot of
Call.
Call the Conqueror.
Yeah, Call was good.
There hasn't been a lot of fantasy horror films, though, really, right? Which that's why when I was watching this, I was like, I can't believe something like this hasn't really been done all that often. And if it has, we just haven't seen it lately. So
Shrek.
Yeah. Shrek, there you go.
Donkey.
All right, well, we're winding down. It's getting fucking late. This is the latest we've gone in a while. We've been doing like under 3 hours
I
lately.
made up my mind. I'm keeping my baby.
Is it an Alaskan pipeline, baby?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh, look on Rachel's face. Oh, man.
I told that frozen shit to be careful. it put a shit baby.
Shit, baby.
Wow. 350.
I'm so excited to be back.
Probably do at
Can't wait
least-
for next week. I figured out the fucking riddle of the Sphinx. like, this is my best thing to do if I am true. No wonder I understand it.
That's fun. That's nice.
Keeping my baby. Gonna keep my baby.
All right, so we do have film for next week. I didn't even mention. We're so busy with talking to our buds.
Tenderoni slaughter.
No. So next week this is a film we were going to do Wednesday Night Wars night, but it got pushed off because we did Wednesday Night Wars, and it is a horror anthology. What, you guys don't like that?
This film's gonna be great.
It's from the folks who produced the ABCs of Death.
Oh boy.
And it is The Field Guide to Evil.
Oh, I do want to see this.
And it features a short film from Ken Evernall.
Nice.
Oh.
So let's see. And I think the idea is that it's different folk tales from like all over the world. So it says a feature-length anthology film. They are known as myths, lore, and folk tales. Created to give logic to mankind's darkest fears, these stories laid the foundation for what we know as the horror genre.
Well, that's fun.
So I'm trying to see if there's anyone else I recognize, any of these directors. And Peter Strickland. How do I know that name?
Yeah. Is he an actor? Too? Also?
I'm looking him up.
So while Johnny's looking by the time you hear this,
he did Barbarian Sound Studio.
Nice. One short day, we will be live on stage.
Yeah.
At the Parkview Room.
It's true.
Might be yelling if I can't dissect a table to get some speakers. But yeah.
It's exciting.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good time. We'll be live. We'll be answering the questions of Bill by Force and El Goro. Maybe there'll be some surprises.
Ooh.
You never
Then
know
we will
what'll
be
happen.
watching Survival of Film Freaks, and then the next night, we're playing songs that I don't even know what they are. Tiny just keeps saying, "How about this one?" And I keep saying, "Sure." So it should be good. It's gonna be a good time, but we're gonna rock your ass like an enema. So I'm really excited about it. I'll be probably about this drunk.
Nice.
So.
One of the just because I looked it up, one of the other shorts is done by the directing duo who did Goodnight Mommy.
Oh no.
So we've seen some of the
Goodnight Mommy. What one's that?
with the two twins.
I hated those fucking kids.
I like that movie.
Yeah, that movie sucked. With the snake mom.
Turtle Rope.
Yeah, Turtle Rope.
No, it wasn't it.
We should watch that movie again.
That movie had the best intro since we've been doing movies.
Oh yeah, the scissoring scene, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, there was the car scene that was nice.
Mm-hmm. The
So
NKBHJ.
That's fun.
So that's what's going on for next week. I don't know if I don't know. I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about the live shows and the weekend. So we probably won't plan anything else. And just a heads up for all the people in this room and everyone listening, next week, so episode 351 will not be on a Wednesday. This will be one of the only times of the year. But next Wednesday we'll be doing it on Thursday. So I had a previous engagement, and we'll be doing on Thursday, April 18th at 8 p.m. Is that good for everyone?
Yeah, I'm off that day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which would have made doing the show on Wednesday night a lot better.
Let's do the show on Easter.
Yeah. Yoster.
So for people who want to tune in live, it'll be a night later and an hour earlier. For people who listen to the podcast, it doesn't affect you. Don't worry. But maybe some people who normally can't tune in Wednesdays will be able to tune in Thursday. So if you can, we will still be doing the show live at 8 p.m. on Thursday, April 18th. So, all right. Well, that is going to do it for the show. Why don't we go around the room and say our goodbyes, starting with Monster Zero.
Arrivederci, douchebags.
Aries?
Goodbye.
Raven Shadow.
Live fast, love hard, die with your mask on.
Marsman.
Jub, jub, yub, yub.
That's a good one. I like that. So that is it. We want to thank everyone for tuning in to episode 350. It still blows my mind that we've made it this far. And big thanks to our boys over on the Cromcast, Josh, Luke, John, and then also our friends who we've known for a very long time now, and well, we haven't met CDR in person, but we've hung out with Jake. We've broke bread with Jake. Mars has eaten off of his love buffet, and soon to do an Alaskan pipeline. But we love those guys on the Cult of Muscle, and we're very thankful that they could join us. So big thanks to everyone who hung out tonight. We appreciate it. And to all you guys who sent feedback, we love hearing from you, and it was awesome, and we appreciate the well wishes. And next week, we hope you guys join us for episode 351. Till then, from all of us at Castle Wolf and Son, we'll see you then.